Okay, here we go, you guys. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I told you I would come back here and we would talk about ancestors. We're going to talk about types of ancestors. Okay, yesterday we talked about land ancestors. If you want to go back and watch the live stream, go to my YouTube channel. I record it. You can go back and watch the whole live stream on my YouTube channel if that's something you're interested in. But we talked about land ancestors yesterday. If you missed that live stream, go watch it on my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to talk about galactic ancestors, aka celestial ancestors. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. They was looking at the stars, they was looking at the moons, they was looking at the sun, they was looking at these planets. They realized these planets, these the energies from these planets was also within them as well. It's why you have a sun sign, your soul sign. Okay, whether you are Aquarius, or Aries, or Gemini, or whatever, you have a sun sign. Truly, you are a star. Okay. Good night, Amina. Um, Truly, you are a star. Okay. So let's get that right now and looking at yourself like that because you are a soul. The soul, again, is a sun, a star. Look at the soul as a sun. Okay. You're connected, like our ancestor said, as above, so below. So they were very aware of that they had a very a relationship with the cosmos as well. They knew they were a reflection of the cosmos. Okay, so you have ancestors like this as well. So you probably saying, how, Miss Penny, how do we have ancestors that are galactic or celestial? Your ancestors recorded it. They kept telling you that they came from a star system. Okay. And then I told you about Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad wrote a book about it. Go read those books that Elijah Muhammad truly God did have his hands on Elijah Muhammad with the things that he was revealing. Okay, the ancestors was working with him. They was truly working with Elijah Muhammad. The things that the ancestors was showing him. So let's dive in here. I have some notes today. Bring your questions. Again, I am trying to help you broaden your comprehension of ancestors and letting you know they go beyond your family. So you can get that out your mind so you can really start understanding the type of assistance you have on your journey and what's inside of you. That's one reason why we do this. I do that astro reading on you, our hoodoo spiritual blueprint. I break that all down hoodoo style so you can see the hoodoo in your chart. Okay, looking at all the elements you came in here with. What elements are you linked with? I break that all down in your chart. Okay, that's exactly what I'm doing. Same thing that they would do over there in the Vedic astrology. The ancestors have helped me break that down in a way where I can give it to you. Again, look at your chart and then give it to you. And it's medicine. It's a map. It's guidance that you can follow to help you get you started on your hoodoo journey. Okay, you know exactly what's going on with you. So again, when you're looking at the astrology and you dive deep into there and you know what everything mean in there, you're looking at echoes of of your soul lesson, your soul work. Okay, I think it's very helpful when people get that because 80 or 90% of the time, the reading is pretty much on target with what's going on, the energies that you carry, and the roots and herbs that will benefit working with on your journey. And so let's dive into celestial. Get out my soapbox and start talking about this. Let's get into galactic ancestors or celestial ancestors. The term celestial or galactic refers to the divine or cosmic beings who existed before humanity. Now, this makes me think when I always think of this, and then I think about the Orishas. I can't help but think about this without thinking about, the closest pantheon I have to describing this is the Netaru or the Orisha, the heavenly progenitors who shaped, guided, and seeded the evolution of life on Earth. They are the luminous forebearers whose energy, wisdom, and essence continue to influence humanity's spiritual development. Throughout human history, our ancestors looked to the stars not merely as distant lights in the sky, but also home points of remembrance, return, divine communication. Across cultures, mythology, spiritual systems, there exists a profound knowing that our origins are not limited to Earth alone. We already knew that our ancestors are already looking to the stars. You probably, I know I look up at the sky and look at the stars and the moon, and I feel like my home is out there somewhere. I just do. I long to go there. I don't know where that there is. I don't know where it is, but something inside of me longs to go there. I don't know. I don't know how you feel. Did you ever feel the same? Amina Aguilera, she said, Aguilera said she feel the same. You look out there at the moon and the stars, I just feel like my home is out there somewhere. That's just how I feel within myself, my inner self. I love looking at the night sky. It reminds me, I don't know why it does that, but I trust my soul. I trust myself. My home is there somewhere. That's why we venerated the birds with the ability to soar to heaven. See? I just feel like that. And again, it's because this cosmic energy is inside of us. It is that is our true home. Like I tell you, this shell ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. Get that out your mind. You are not this body. You really start feeling things and listening to yourself, you'll find that out. But you need to get somewhere and sit down and listen to yourself. Okay, and trust what's coming up for you. Okay. Let's see. It says across cultures, there exists a profound knowing that our origins are not limited to Earth alone. We are descendants of cosmos itself, children of stardust, divine intelligence, and the beings who guided the birth of humanity are what many spiritual traditions call galactic ancestors. They have come up in readings. Now, the first time I saw this coming up in my readings, I said, "What is a galactic ancestors?" Because that was coming up in some of my readings. I was like, "What is this?" And I had to go down a rabbit hole and say, "Oh, these are the ancestors that are again uh, tapped into what they call our higher self, what some people call their Christ consciousness." When you start getting into those realms, you're going to start running into those ancestors. What are people doing when they channeling? When they channeling it trips me out because my thing is, if you channeling these beings in the inner space in you, you're channeling these aliens in you. And I got to ask the question, you guys, are they really going to space? Are they really going to space? Because there are all these people, you know, are they really channeling inner beings? Those are the I think the main two questions we need to ask. I think what's her name? Vicky Dillard. Vicky Dillard talked a little bit about her experience with the Galactic Federation. Her her views sound a little bit more plausible. Okay, but she talked a little. That's the next person I've seen talking about that looked like me. She talked about it a little bit. Okay, about her experience with them. Okay, but they are very, very real. Elijah Muhammad talked about it, about his experience too. They are celestial archetypes, teachers who seeded the life, the cultures, the consciousness upon this planet. Their memory is coded within human DNA, waiting to be awakened through spiritual evolution and ancestral veneration and soul remembrance. It's in there. That's why I keep telling you to talk to your ancestors and trust yourself. Talk to your ancestors and trust yourself. You're gonna keep telling me, cause I need to get you to see that. You need to see that for yourself. You don't need nobody in the way of you getting back to your divinity. It's already in you. It's encoded in your DNA. You just need to get somewhere and sit down and get quiet and listen. And maybe need to do some healing so you can move some stuff out and start interfacing with your ancestors again because it's already in your DNA. I can't, just looking at my experience, you guys, and really getting serious about my spiritual journey, ensuring it. Never did I expect these things to occur on my spiritual journey. And so what, you know, is listen to so many other people's story about their journey with the ancestors. Hey, Ami, hello, 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 TikTok family, hello, YouTube family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are talking about celestial and galactic ancestors. I use those words interchangeably. Okay, I'm using them interchangeably. Okay. So you have galactic ancestors too, where your soul come from. You thinking about just your body. So now we're talking about the ancestors of your soul. Hey, cool 9550. That's what we're talking about now. The ancestors of your soul. Let's put it that way. Because truly you are a star. You are a sun. So when we start looking at it from that perspective, looking at the makeup of your spirit, of your soul, we begin to look at soul ancestors that formed our soul mind. Okay. And when you're looking at your zodiac sign, that's what you're looking at. That's why the characteristics and personalities lined up so much because you're looking at your soul mind. You're looking at your spirit. Okay. Hello, Dales. Hello, hello. It's like how it was in the water. Okay, same thing. We're connected to all these elements. We're connected to all these elements. And everything around you has a spirit, it has energy in it. And it trips me out because I know our ancestors know that. Another reason why you know it's true, because how else are you got these people out here controlling this weather? Our ancestors was very aware of how they were linked to everything. Listen to what I'm saying now, and that's what hoodoo and root work is all about. That's why they put God first because they knew God was in everything. They didn't use the term spirit, probably not, but they knew God was in everything. But why did the generation go on? We didn't get taught these lessons. Honey, these folks, they didn't want your mind right. Look, they ain't right. They didn't want your mind right so bad, honey. Them people miseducated you in school, in your book. Some stuff you don't find out a lot of stuff until you get to college or you do some independent study. Because everything you learn is indoctrination. Cut you off. You don't need to be sitting in no classroom. Need to be outside trying to figure out what these trees and stuff is saying to you. What's going on with the animals? That's the real education. Where your environment is, not no made up artificial crap that they done gave us. That's where we supposed to be loving the land, tending to the land, listening to what's going on with us, not doing all this other crap. You ain't supposed to be doing. That's not what your ancestors. If you was with your ancestors, we was in our natural habitat. You would know every plant. You would know how to deliver a baby. You will know how to heal. Okay, you will know how to hunt. You will know how to plant. You will know how to build a house. You will know all. That's really all you need. All this other extra crap, it don't mean a hill of beans. You don't need none of that stuff. Start running out of food, start running out of clean water, and see how much you be big in the earth and trying to love on the earth then when you ain't got no clean water and everything poison and everything like that. The damn money don't make no difference. Can't drink no money. Can't drink no money. Can't eat no money. All that stuff ain't gonna mount to a hill of beans. The people that's living off the land and all that, they richer than you. They richer than you. Because they got wisdom, they got knowledge. Go back and look at Solomon. Solomon did not ask for no money. Now you can just go back and look at this story. Solomon did not ask for no money. What did he ask God for? He asked him for wisdom, and it was bestowed and poured upon him. He didn't ask for no money. He didn't ask for no riches. He asked the Most High, the Great Spirit, for wisdom. That is the highest. That is priceless. That's priceless. Most people don't ask for that. They want money and all that stuff. That's temporary. Wisdom creates all that. Okay, so the people think I got money, I got the money. I got most of y'all be crazy. Some of y'all, you think you want that money. Nah, you want sometimes that make us a little crazy if we ain't got no wisdom. Ain't gonna do you no good if you ain't got no wisdom, and you gonna have it long. Okay? Our ancestors, they're very, very smart. Now they didn't just tricked us out of our whole education. Okay, we supposed to be sitting out in nature somewhere trying to learn what these animals got going on, and trying to learn ourselves, knowing ourselves and our thoughts. I like to say that common sense is not a flower that grown in everybody garden these days. I got to agree with you, honey. I do agree with some of the questions I have people ask me, and the way people it's kind of concerning how people love following people instead of sitting down, learning, and listening to their ancestors. It trips me out. It's so fascinated with people. It got us codependent. The codependence is on an all-time level. Narcissism is on an all-time level. Because of this dark psychology and the lack of knowing. That's why that book said my people perish for the lack of knowledge. You perish because you don't know. And then when somebody try to tell you because you are lovers of pleasure, of temporary pleasure, and the ego is in you so strong, you don't want it. And then they have popularized, they made mental illness normalized. They have normalized mental illness because ain't no way that man supposed to be over there doing what he doing over there in America. See, go look at America. That's crazy as hell. Yeah, Black Magic Mike said people are lazy minded. They don't want to read. They don't want to read. They don't want to look at the materials. They want to be entertained. Your mind, and you don't see how sick your mind is until you start doing the shadow work and try to settle yourself on down. And then you look at yourself. I had to do it. Say, what the hell? I got all this stuff going on me, stuff that they have normalized that didn't pay attention to. Then when I start sitting down and looking at myself, stop looking at other people. I look at me. Look at me. It's as hard as hell too when you realize how hard it is for you to focus on yourself. It was hard for me to sit down and focus. I said, what the hell? I just want to think about something else. I don't want to focus on me and what I'm doing and what's going on with me. I want to just project and look outside. Them damn eyes ain't no good either. What you got in your head, because them things will fool you. Better be able to look through your inner eye, because that was gonna tell you the truth. Because you looking at reflections of light, angles of light. Ain't none of this is real. I'm just telling you. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not losing you. Nice to meet you, beloved. Hello, Shimmy Liston. I'm in the U.S. and I'm also in a natal chart in my natal chart. How do I locate my ancestors? Calling out to them, asking for a sign. Okay, calling out to them, asking for a sign. That's all you got. It's that simple. And stay open for the sign. That's it. Not complicated. When you get the sign, acknowledge the sign. But why do you want the sign? The ancestors are already there with you. Okay. Hi, Bladia. Hello, hello, TikTok family. Hello, hello. Welcome, TikTok family. Welcome, YouTube family. They're already with you guys. It's not complicated. Stop trying to complicate this. Ain't nobody. it- You can contact your ancestors. That's simple. Just get somewhere and get quiet and trust what's coming up. Black Magic, he's right here in the YouTube chat. He said, I started with a pendulum. It can be something just that simple with a pendulum. Just that simple, you got. It's just that simple. Okay? It's just that simple. You already have it in you. I know I shared on here on my TikTok thing. Spirits are going to your ancestors going to speak to you most likely telepathically. You can use a divination for clear and confirmational, um, to clear, just for clear confirmation that you are having contact with them, or you can talk to them telepathically. You can do shamanic journey, start visualizing them and go into meditation. They will talk to you that way too. Okay, but you got to sit still long enough for them, for you to open it up. You got to be open to it too. Because as long as you thinking that somebody else can tell you more about your ancestor than you are closing yourself out to the communication. You are telling yourself, I absolutely have no, I don't want to, I don't want to do it. That's what you're telling your subconscious. But when you start opening your mind up, say, I do want to communicate with them. I do. You'll start dreaming about them. You'll start getting signs because you're willing to communicate with them. You're opening up that part of yourself to communicate with them. It's just that simple. Seems like they were excited and waiting for me. My flames on my candles were dancing like crazy. Yeah. Okay, that's an indication. You can even talk to them and say, if y'all here, can you move to the left or the right? It's people do that. They talk to their ancestors through a candle, through fire magic. Our ancestors are also like connected with these elements. I've already broke that down for you. They're connected to the fire. That's why you'll see some fire spirits in hoodoo, voodoo, Ifa. You'll see some water spirits up in there. You're gonna see some earth spirits in there when we start working with the roots and the herbs. Our ancestors are, again, they are the one too. You go to the divine feminine. They are the one who had these special relationship with agriculture and vegetation, and you have that mitochondrial DNA with you that goes back to the first mother. Again, this is ancestral magic when we get to talking about hoodoo. This is why it says an ancestral. Then you start looking at your ancestors, honey. If you're doing it right and you really follow the ancestors, see, I know, I didn't seen them. I didn't seen them. Okay, when you ready to open it up your mind and you got your imagination together and you ready, you will see this. Okay, now y'all look at those pictures that Putin put up of that of showing that the saints and stuff was dark. But I saw that a long time ago in meditation. Very, 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 very bright ancestors. Look, and that's why I kept telling you those saints and those angels feel like ancestors. I kept telling you that. You will see it for yourself when you if you're doing the work. Okay? This is totally ancestral. Again, looking at hoodoo and looking at your ancestors from a wider scope and understanding ancestral veneration. We are not just talking about family, we are talking about galactic, also, and celestial ancestors. Our ancestors said, as above, so below. That is literally true. Thank you, Shem. Listen, that is literally true. Then you start to understand that once you dive into your study and start expanding your consciousness so you can absorb more information and have a more clear conversation with your ancestors, because the more you expand your consciousness, the more information the ancestors can start dropping on you, because now they can again pull info, because they can communicate with you telepathically. And if they see it in your mind, you think you forgot something that you read, and they'll go back in your memory and pull it up, and you be like, "Damn, how did I remember that?" Okay, and they'll start talking to you about it. You'll be so you're to pull you into the subject, and they'll have you look more into it, and there you go, you learning stuff. That's how they do, guys. But see, you ain't gonna know that because you don't want to pick up a book. You want to follow people and all that type of stuff. No, you need to get somewhere and sit down. I'm sorry, I gotta keep saying that. I couldn't find my cowrie shells, and I said out loud, "Don't don't be mad at me, y'all. I can't find my shells." Okay, so but you gotta trust yourself and stop looking at these people and stop trying to do what other people do. Cause your magic, I assure you, your magic ain't gonna look like that. Especially if you just start, it's gonna have you simple. That it's gonna have you doing something simple, but it's gonna be powerful. They might just have you working with some water. They might just have you working with some dirt and powders. They might just have you just working with incense. They might just have you working with pen and paper in your mouth. Just never know until you get over there and start looking at things and reviewing things. I said, "Help me find them, please," and went right over there in my bag, and they were there. See? All you gotta do is ask, but you don't open your mouth. You open it. And sometimes we open our mouth when it don't need to be open. We don't know when to open our mouth. Let me say that because that's how I had to be taught. The ancestors start telling me you need to be quiet. You don't know. I was like, I do know. No, you don't. Hush. And if you do know, you need to hush up about it. Hush. Be quiet. Listen. Why you think you got one mouth? Why do you think you got one mouth? You're supposed to keep that closed most of the time. If we wanted you to be talking more, we'd have made they'll put two mouths on the side of your head and put an ear in the front of your face. We know what we're doing. I said, damn. Yes. Okay. And the more longer you be quiet, the more stuff they drop on you. Okay. They'll send you down. You'll start to comprehend more of the spiritual signs. But if you're not sitting there and just sit, you can't get nowhere by yourself and sit down. You always got to be around people. You always got to be doing something. You just got to be doing too much all the time. Then you're gonna be missing stuff. If your life is just raggedy and you just love raggedy stuff and you just okay, you again you gotta get yourself somewhere and sit down, beloved. So let's look at Kemet, because Kemet looked at the stars too. And ancient Kemet, when we look at the Neteru, we look at Nut, Ra, Isis, Osiris. Um, They were not mere deities, they were celestial ancestors living in principles of nature's and cosmic order. Remember the story, you guys? When they're telling the story, these are not just our ancestors, they're explaining them as elementals. Okay. And in their culture, the Pharaoh's soul was said to ascend among the imperishable stars after death and return into his celestial home. You kind of see that in The Lion King. When his father dies, what did he do? He sees his father in the stars. He sees his father in nature. They putting it right in front of your face. You'll miss it if you ain't paying attention. Be tripping me out. They be dropping gems in front of us, but they didn't indoctrinate us so much. We miss so much of the truth. They put them in them shows now. They gonna lie to you here and tell you all these fantasies, but one thing about their movies, they be putting real stuff in them movies and shows. But see, you think it's just entertainment. No, it's not. They do a lot of research and study uh in before they even do these shows, just like they showed you in Sinners. That woman had to learn about who doing all that stuff to get that part. She had to learn that. They had to come somebody had some that's like I say they do their whole research. They know what they be doing. So you can't sit up there and say they don't know. They know. Okay. Okay. They're your ancestors. They can help you with anything. I wouldn't be doing anything just with my relationship with them, because like I said, I work with angels for a long time. And the thing with the angels, you can set any intentions, but they're always going to do things for your highest good. The thing will be like, thank you. But okay, thank you. You just got to be grateful for it. It's not exactly the way, it's just for the highest good of everyone. It turns out right, but it's something like, it's gonna be some growth in there somewhere. It's gonna be something that it's good. It's gonna turn out good. Everything will turn out right the way you needed it to. Just say you're gonna get what you need for your highest good for everyone. Versus the ancestors, it's more personal. They're more likely to work with you on things that you truly want and desire, your dreams. Versus the angels, they're going to help you again with soul lessons, really help you grow in that area and start shifting your consciousness to, higher. Okay. So that's they're gonna take you to a higher because you're gonna feel elated. But when you're working magic with them, they're usually gonna do things for your highest good of everyone. How do you know if you can work with hoodoo? How do you know? Oh no, ask your ancestors. I know it's a closed practice. It is closed. If you do not have any ancestors over here in hoodoo, the way it is set up because of the ancestors that's over here, I have to tell you that. Because you have people, y'all got your own magic. I don't even know why you would want to because you have your own ancestral magic. You have your own folk magic. So I don't know why you would want to get in hoodoo. I mean, y'all have y'all ancestors over there too that do stuff for y'all. Okay, y'all got your own ancestors over there. If you're a palm color person, y'all got your own. Imagine that we have shared some of our things with you guys, but it is not the same. Although it may look the same, it is not the same because of the ancestors and because of what happened to us. So if you're Indian, are you are you saying that you're an indigenous American from America? Is that what you're saying? If you're indigenous America, you're indigenous to the Americas, then you should be able to practice it. Okay? Because those ancestors are in that there was a culture, there's a mixing there that goes on. Okay? You're from India. Okay, if you're from India, y'all Hinduism, that's it right there. Hinduism is hoodoo. I know what to tell you. Hinduism is hoodoo. Go look into that. Y'all have a better, y'all have a really good structure over there when to go into that. So you probably need to look in that and look at setting up pujas because some of the same deities that you see over there in Hinduism, it mimics voodoo. So I have to ask where those ancestors come from because those ancestors, hey, when I was seeing that and then looking at people from India, I told you that man in Malaysia looked darker than me. I was like, what am I looking at over here, ancestors? What is this? Okay, and then looking at Hinduism and looking at those deities, and then the first mother that went into India was a dark-skinned woman. So, it is definitely in conjure and it's definitely in hoodoo. I cannot refute that. I can't argue that. Our ancestors was definitely used in Hinduism in hoodoo. It's hard for Americans. We lost our tribes, etc. We first have to find our origin. And that's why we look and I'm glad you said that, Pinky up, mister. That's why we look at a variety of spiritual practices in the Americas when we again and looking at the African systems among diaspora. That's why we look at Lukumi. That's why we look at Palo. That's why we look at Santeria. That's why we look at all of them. Because when we start looking at hoodoo, when we look at those African systems among diaspora, we start to learn how some of these spiritual concepts got in hoodoo. I hope that makes sense. Hello, hello, Luna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Greetings and gratitude. Okay, we start to learn how they got up in there, and so we bring it back together. We're doing something maybe our ancestors didn't have the opportunity to do, and that's probably upsetting some people. But again, we're bringing hoodoo back together and making it stronger. I just feel like we're doing that now. Now that we have access to information and can understand the spiritual science a lot more, because our ancestors didn't have a lot of access to this information, but you knew that they were looking for it because you got the sixth, seventh book of Moses in there. You got Solomonic magic that's in there. You got Mosaic magic that's in there. They looked into the Goetia, the Goetic spirits, because when you go up to the Goetic spirits, you start finding voodoo spirits over there. You start finding the Orisha over there. Them people that put our ancestral spirits over there as demons and goetic spirits, and that's just not true. Okay, our origin brown people in is hoodoo and voodoo. Okay, so you start to you start to see that. So we sit down and we look at that because I want to make sure we're thoroughly informed about the science of our ancestral magic, because that's what this is ancestral. When we start looking at our ancestors, we start looking at voodoo. I just a wonderful young lady, her name is Mambo. I can't even remember the baby name, Lord. Can't even remember her name. Her name Mambo Sun, but she was talking about voodoo on here. And remember me telling y'all, just post a video on it. Remember me telling y'all over there in voodoo, they deify these ancestors, they real ancestors. And honey, she broke it on down. It must be the ancestors at work, because she was addressing somebody else in her video, telling her she didn't know what she was talking about. But see how the ancestors work? See how they work? And honey, that girl video come down my timeline talking about the very thing we was talking about. And she was telling this person in her video that she was telling them how they do it. She was basically, and it's just a lack of a better term. If I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I'm just trying to break it down and help people to understand that she was basically saying that they were creating a servitor in the image of an ancestor. You understand what I'm telling you? Now I've heard that same thing about the Olarisha too. This is the science behind it. And see, you don't know, but I'm gonna break that down for you, help you understand that. Okay, that basically what she was understanding. Then she got in my comment. She said, "What it did? Are you saying Salvatore?" I said, "Yes." I said, "It's got that Salvatore vibe in it. It may not be the same, but it sounds similar to me when I hear you explain that, baby." You know. Uh, and she said, "How do you spell it?" I said, "You spelled it right." She spelled it right. But it's something that's why I love when spirit we get to have we need to have these conversations. Stop gatekeeping and help people understand so that when they jump into something, they know what they doing, they know what they looking at. We are the original people across the entire world. The spirit's bringing us all together. I can't disagree with you, Luna. I can't disagree with you, because when you start looking at them ancestors, honey, now these ancestors that led all just trip me out when I see Hinduism in it. Trip me out when I go down to this Thailand. You're looking at their altars and they have these little containers like these spirit houses on these altars. And I remember somebody jumping in my comment. She said, "Yes, this that comes from our older culture." She said something about "we love you hoodoos." So she was very aware. I think she was Thai. She was a very aware of who I was, because she said, "We love you hoodoos." Now, and I'm not sure if they do a form of hoodoo here. I need to dive deeper in there and get to know these ancestors here on this land. But she was very aware. They're very spiritual here. They got altars everywhere. I done told you they got them in their cars. You getting somebody car, get an Uber ride, it's an altar in their car. You hear me? You go down the street in front of somebody's house, it's an altar in front of their house. They out there giving giving offerings, putting libations and everything on the altar. Okay, see what I'm saying? I see spirit houses all through Southeast Asia. And then these Christian folks in America want to call these people evil. They going to hell. Honey, these people keep God everywhere. What are you talking about? Y'all got to put God in this church house. These people got God everywhere they go. You don't see a lot of churches, but you sure see a lot of altars. What are you talking about? These people going to hell? These people, you see them stooping in front of altars, prostrating themselves and praying. Them folks, you ain't got to worry about nobody stealing nothing and taking advantage of you. Not like that. They got some type of morality to them. You can go somewhere 4, 5 o'clock at night, put something down, ain't nobody gonna touch it. Park your car, ain't nobody gonna run away with it. You understand me? And you want to call these people spiritual practice evil? Look like me. These folks got more God in them than that. That's what's going on in America. You're indoctrinating these people over here, but these people keep God in everything. That's what I see. They don't keep that separate. They got altars and stuff everywhere. I've been near them, been walking by, and they will stop and prostrate themselves in front of the altar and start praying in front of but they don't give a damn. You understand me? And some of us, we don't do that unless we only do that at church. We only know God when we go to church. Not these people. Even the businesses got an altar in front. They got an altar on the property, and some people attended to. We got an altar right here at our in our condominiums here. We got an altar right there. Okay. And these folks, let's say them Christians. I know you shucking and jiving over there and stop playing. 'Cause your God supposed to be everywhere. That's the problem right there. They're gonna put the food. They put food out there. They put in place of blood rituals, because they said back in the day they used to do blood rituals. And when I hear them talk about it, it sounds so much like voodoo, a form of voodoo, y'all. When you start hearing them talk about their ancient tradition, and the lady said in place of the blood ritual, they put red Fanta up there, red Fanta pop, instead of because that's in replace of that. So they'll just put a red Fanta up there. They've been doing that for years now. Their yoga system comes from Tibetan tradition. Okay. So you got to start, and then when you start following the ancestors, they'll start taking you this place. You be like, why am I going? Why are y'all taking me here? Why am I here? Why is this here? Why is this in here? Why is this in here? And then when you start following the land, and you start following um the religions among African diaspora, or the spiritual practices among diaspora, things start coming together, and hoodoo starts to make more sense. Okay, the science of it begins to make more sense. I will, but the red Fanta, thanks. That's what they used to do, but don't do what I mean. This is what they do. This is what they do on their altars. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was intriguing that it looked so many like our elements, you know. So I would start seeing some similarities, commonality, and that's what the ancestors always, um, they always bring that to my mind. Look at that. Why they look like you? And I'm like, I don't know why they look like our stuff. Because I go to question, why they look like our stuff? Where they get that concept of? I told you I'm nosy, y'all. Okay, I'm nosy. So, and then I'm open minded too. I leave myself always open, because I don't know what the ancestors gonna show me, what they gonna teach me, and I don't know everything. So, and I'm nosy. I do want to know, you know. So that's how, take a look at things, people. Take a look at things. Keep your mind open when it comes to ancestral veneration. While pastors asking for dollars to get to church, ain't told you nothing about no herbs. Ain't told you nothing about how to work with water. Ain't told you nothing about how to work with fire. Ain't had no candle vigil for nobody and pray for nobody, and practice no type of healing on nobody. I don't know what you're getting in there. I just, what we doing over there? I think we need to ask ourselves that question. Now, when we look at the doggone people, again, you got to remember, they were not these people. They mapped out a star system, uh, and they had no way of going into space. How was they doing this? How the doggone people was doing this? They preserved the knowledge of the star Sirius long before telescopes teachings that the Nomo amphibious celestial beings descended to instruct humanity in the ways of life, water, and divine balance. And now, when he's talking about these Nomo amphibians, and if you were to see them, I think I talked about this on my YouTube channel. But when you start looking at these Nomo amphibians, you're looking at again echoes of Mama Wata, the first organism. Like I said, water was here first. Darkness and the water was here first. See how it all start making sense when you sit down and start putting stuff together? That's why you got to read all of it. That's why you got to read all of it. It start making sense. Okay. It might have been. I think these the same ancestors because when you start looking at the spiritual system, you can take because when we start looking at ancestral magic, and I think I shared a video on both of these platforms on YouTube and TikTok because we're getting ready to dive in that next month, ancestral magic, and they're tracing it back to the first mother. They're saying that this magic is encoded in our DNA and it goes back to the first mother. And so when we start doing hoodoo and start remembering and connecting with plants and stuff again, we awaken ancestral memory. It's already in you. That's why you see us. You see Michael Jackson and see some of our dances. We dance just like the ancient Egyptians. We're doing the dances of ancient Egypt. They can't take that out of you. Why? Because it's ancestral memory. Even when you were sitting up there shouting at church, the music that we make, everybody, want our music. Again, this is ancestral memory. We do everything by black girl magic is ancestral memory. They cannot take that out of you. They can't. They tried. With everything in them, they tried to take that out of you. And they said, damn, we can't destroy this memory because it's in them. They dancing like them folks. They acting like them folks. They talk like they folks. They got soul music. You can feel when they talk. They righteous. When they say something, righteousness come out their mouth. You just can't get rid of them folks. Them folks, that their ancestors is in them like that. There's nothing we can do. We're going to have to divide them. We're going to have to conquer them. We're going to have to do something else because we can't take it out of them. It's in your DNA, memory. Come out dancing just like your folks. Them ancient Egyptians, you didn't know they dance like that. You didn't know none of their dances. You didn't know they move their feet like that. You didn't know they move their body like that. Then you love the drums. We love the drums. We love the drums. I love to see Dave Chappelle uh his little skit where he talk about the different cultures, and then he talk about us and the drums, and he talk about the Hispanics, and then he talk about the guitar, the white people and the guitar. I thought that was so hilarious, and I was like, that is so true. We just automatically with that drum, that beat, you drop that beat out, we gonna be on beat. We know that beat. We gonna start moving when that beat stop. Even when we're listening to music, we're putting a beat in the music. Okay, okay. The beat is connected again with the cosmic earth, with earth. We're the only people, that look at what you're doing. They outlawed that. Them drums were so powerful, we couldn't even use the drums. Had to beat on pots and spoons and stuff. Cause they ain't want us to have no drum. Okay? Some people didn't even want you to have herbs. You go to jail if you had herbs. Come on now. Because of the DNA memory. The ancestral memory, it is in you. That's why when you start coming to me talking about my ancestors told me to do something, what you think? What do you think I think? I think you should do what they told you to do. I'm not going to talk you out of what your ancestors told you in your intuition. What do I look like? I'm not doing that. I'm going to support you in your journey and trust in your intuition and your ancestors. Because that's the problem there. You don't need nobody telling you. You need somebody to ensure in you that you are connecting with your ancestors. You need somebody to ensure in you that as long as you do the work, you will have a clear connection with your ancestors. That's it. Don't be doing that. You can talk to your ancestors yourself, because every time you're doing that, you are denying your ability and leaving your DNA dormant. I got to get you to saying, I can't do this. Yes, I'm talking to my ancestors and they said this and this and that. And I think I'm going to do it this way. That's what needs to probably happen. Okay? So we look at the Mayans and Incas. Let's look at the Mayans and Incans, because we already looked at the doggone tribe. Now we're looking at all these ancient cultures that's looking at the stars, that's mapped them out. And they done made all these type of documentaries. They are astounded and fascinated with how these cultures mapped out and their comprehension of astrology. They even write books about it. Okay? These are star celestial ancestors. That's what you started. That's what you're dealing with here. Your ancestors already said they came from the stars. The doggone tribe already said these amphibious looking beings, so they would have looked like uh mermaids, Mama Wata looking spirits. But it shouldn't surprise you, because water is the first element that was here. So it makes sense that there would be water spirits. Come on now. It said God moved, it was dark, and God moved upon the face of the waters. I just saw a video of just before I got on here. That boy said, "You know, you can make water out of air." Absolutely, you can, because air is nothing but dry water. Dragons is nothing but serpents, ancient serpents. That's all that is. They're calling them by different names. They're serpents. When you see that, say you can see that too in Quetzalcoatl up in Maya. That's the if you start looking at ancient Egypt, I wrote a book about this, Matriarch the Patriarch, because the ancestors had me looking at, they said, look at the feathers. Now look at that serpent. That serpent is ancient Egypt. It's in Quetzalcoatl. It's in ancient America. It's over here. That's us. That's the divine feminine. That's the matriarch empire. That's our magic being passed on. That's what the great mothers told me. So when you're looking at that serpent and you're looking at that dragon, you're looking at the great mother. I know these men telling you different, but I got to pull that misogyny out of it, because see, they rewrote on top of us. They did some more of that. It's so much indoctrination going on, but it first started on top of our stuff. Then they indoctrinated them folks, and then it just kept going with the lies. Okay, that's where that's coming from. But when you look at that and you're tracing back all these religions, and you see, because I asked the ancestors, I said, why is this all, why they all got some of the same universal truths and stuff in them? And why this story of Buddha and Jesus and everything is looking alike? The story of Mithras, all these stories look like the same story of Jesus. Wrote a book on it called Christ Consciousness. It was about consciousness, not following no man. It wasn't about following no man ever. It was never about that. Okay? Great Mother said, it's because it comes from women. We were the first teachers, so we were trying to teach our spiritual science. It's all the same, but depending on the culture, it would look different, but we're given the same science. And women, you have access to this DNA. Once you start opening yourself up to your great mothers and stuff, they're going to be dropping wisdom on you. You say you want to get in contact with the divine feminine, you got to sit yourself down, start loving on yourself, and start calling on these great mothers, because they know they was first one here. They was first one. Okay? And wisdom is already in you. Okay? You got to, because you look, it's already in you. When you was when your grandma was pregnant with your mama, you was already in your mama. We can go all the way back now. And your baby is already inside you when you in your mama. Ain't that something? The movie The Fifth Element has some nuggets in it. Funny, but true. Look at that. Look what they just dropped in there. Who just said that? Melanated Keisha. The Fifth Element was all about that too. They letting you know. They had to go get that woman. There wasn't no man. And that's another thing too. You think a man gonna say you that ain't gonna happen. If any change in the shift gonna happen, you best believe it's gonna be with the divine feminine. I was listening about Manly P. Hall. He was talking about that. And these occultists, they know it. Okay, I was reading his he had a lecture on YouTube about the divine feminine, and he was talking about the nature of men and the nature of women. And when men realize um that they shouldn't have this type of power, and then begging women to share power with men, it was absolutely not supposed to be that way. He was not supposed to be having no power. He was not meant to do it that way. We can allocate some powers to him, but he was never supposed to be sharing power. Like, that's the problem. That's the problem. But go listen to that lecture, because I don't want to seem like I'm man bashing or nothing like this. This ain't about that. This is about natural order, and this is the problem. Okay, and I'm not trying to man bash or nothing like that, but this is one of the problems here. Is things that got out of whack because somebody thought they was first. You even see it in that Bible. You seeing that demiurge. I'm a jealous God. Who you think saying that? Who you think saying that? Where do you think this narcissistic psychology comes from? When you look at patriarchy, Manly P. Hall, Manly P. Hall. He talks about the divine feminine. He's wrote many occult, esoteric books. He has many discussions on many different topics about the mysteries, okay, in spiritual science. So, yeah, you can check him out. So they know this. Even when I go into ancient Kemet, and we had to break this down because of the indoctrination started in ancient Kemet, you will see maybe 3 or 4 different tree of lives because you have it being colonized by different people. And so when they got in there and went into the spiritual science, they start creating their own tree. And of course, the original tree of life, especially when you look at, again, I'm getting nerdy on you guys, and I'm so sorry. I don't mean to get nerdy. uh when you're looking at the dark side of the tree of life, they call it the night side. You can either call it the roots because they call it as dark, or you can call it the night side of the tree. But when you look at the night side of the tree, again, they've totally ignored where they come from. And when you look at the night side of the tree, is dealing with the divine feminine. Okay, I'm out for my soapbox with that. I hope I didn't lose y'all. They took away the matriarch, replaced it with patriarchy. Exactly. They teach us about the Holy Trinity, but where is the feminine? And really, when you look at the Christ consciousness, because we talked about that when we in our community over there, when I talked about Kabbalah, because I'm nosy, I'm nerdy. I went back to where did the Kabbalah come from? Where did they get it from? Because I know they didn't make this up. They've already said in their books that they got everything from pagans from the divine feminine. It trips me out how you steal stuff, and after you steal stuff from and water it down and use it, strip it all down, and then you say, then after you done took it and did what you say you was, took it and doing what you ain't supposed to be doing with it, you done stole it from somebody else. Now you're gonna say it's witchcraft. Now you're gonna say it's witchcraft. That's what they did to us. They took our signs, declared it paganism, and then to prevent us from messing with it, it's witchcraft to you, so you don't do it. But we're gonna take it up in the Freemasonry, and we're gonna give it to men and let them just do it. But for you, it's witchcraft, and we will burn you, and we will we'll torture you if we catch you or we think that you're doing it. If you got too much money and too rich, and if you're too outspoken, we're gonna deem you a witch, and we're gonna get rid of you, and we're gonna take your money and your property. That's what happened. Why you think they got rid of the midwives? Men did not do any nursing and healing. Men were not doing, not too many men were doing that. It was mostly women. And if men did do that, they learned it from their mothers. You start looking at hoodoo, hoodoo is matrilineal. People say, oh, it was created. No, it was already in us. Y'all just started calling it hoodoo when y'all noticed we were doing magic. And so we have outside people saying, oh, that's hoodoo, this, that. But many of our ancestors didn't call it that. Never heard anybody say that. And if you ask your grandma or whatever, you see them doing it, you gonna get yourself in trouble because they're gonna look upside your head like you crazy because that's not what they doing. That's why they and don't do it. Okay, healing people was also considered witchcraft. See, okay, you go back and really study and look at these things, or just try to look at them from a different perspective. Now you have the Mayan and Incans, their entire calendars and temples aligned with stars, planets, and solstices. They spoke of star ancestors who taught them mathematics, medicine, and the cycles of time. You're going to see these people talk about star ancestors. So you know you have celestial galactic ancestors. I think I've already mentioned that in the movie Lovecraft. You see the lady who goes into space and she learns all this stuff from, again, looks like this African American woman with this beautiful afro, that she's in space and she's learning different things. That would be a representation. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, they're just dropping gems all through this movie. I don't think people even know what this going on here. That's a galactic celestial ancestor she in contact with. My mama said to me last night, you believe, let me see, you believe in that stuff? I said, yeah, and you do too. Yeah, she do too. She ain't gonna whistle in no house. She ain't gonna sweep nobody's foot. She ain't gonna open umbrella in the house. She ain't gonna split no pole. And she gonna make sure she cook them black eyed peas and greens and all that and cornbread. She gonna make sure she do that. Okay, she doing it. Okay. I heard some another person. I kind of like the way she broke it down because it was another practitioner out here, and she was talking about how hoodoo, root work, and conjure was different. I said, let me hear this because she might have another perspective. And I kind of like the way she put it. She was like, hoodoo is in the culture. It is unknown. We don't know that we're doing it, but it's in there. We're doing it because it's in there. The magic is in the culture. You'll see that. That's hoodoo. Root work. Root work is when you know how to work with plants and work with the spirit of plants, saints, and ancestors. That's root work. That's root work. You're a healer. You know how to use plants. You know how to pray. Okay. You know how to pray with the spirits in those plants, in those elements. You have a relationship with the elementals. It's more of an elemental sort of magic. I'm gonna use my term. Okay. That's the term I use because you look at root work looks like a lot of elemental magic. A lot of natural magic goes on in root work. Okay. You can work with saints, you can work with ancestors, you work closely with saints and ancestors and angels in root work. Then she said conjures, and I agree. I agree with her on conjures when you work with a whole spirit there. Okay, you working with these people that work with spirits. They set up tables, they work with spirits. That is what they do. So I love to see her. I like the way she put that. But I definitely knew from the jump, going into hoodoo, that root work and conjure is just they use them interchangeably, and there are two heads out there that can do it. You know, that do it interchangeably, but they are very separate. Lovecraft Country showed all of that. See, they dropping and they believe me, them people they not lying because I'm telling you, them people do thorough research before they make the movies because they got to make it believable to you. They got to make it believable. These people channel these characters and everything. They do a whole channel. When you watch it, you got to be careful about some of this stuff because these people be channeling spirit. They be channeling these characters, these spirits. A whole That'd be a whole spiritual thing. When you watching TV, these people are channeling. They're channeling their character. Look at Denzel Washington. Why is he so good? Because he channeled these spirits. He makes it believable. Acting is channeling. Even when you go to your altar, you're doing a form of acting. Okay? And when you're talking to your ancestors, again, you're working magic on your altar. You do an embodiment of energy. Because they call it embodiment, but it is a sort of acting, a sort of channeling, a sort of conjuring. I hope that made sense. I'm not taking you guys too fast. Okay? Oh, American God was so good too. American God was good too. So when we look at, because we have to go in, they call it Mexico now, y'all, in South America and all that. But we have to go in and look at Mexican magic. And like I told you, we have to look at them because it's still on their land. It doesn't change because somebody come in and start naming us something different. They're still were on the land and connected to the ancestors. So we have to look at what those people are doing and how they set up their spiritual practice. And when you start to look at some of the Mexican magic, start looking like hoodoo. Once again, I already told you these Latino people, Hispanic people, is conjuring in the Catholic Church. They never stopped. They couldn't stop that. And believe me, them Catholic priests, they tried. But if they would have did that, they would have had nobody, no members in their congregation. And so when you start looking at their stuff and looking at their system, you like, oh my God, we do that over here. Is this where that come from? You start looking back, oh my God, is this where this come from? Because we're doing some of the same things over here. You start looking at their saints. You start looking at their saints, they saints start looking like your ancestors. I'm telling you. But they putting them in them books, like I told you, they putting them in their books, pale face. But if you was to see them and start working with them, they gonna start feeling ancestral. So I have to ask those, and then we're doing the same thing in voodoo or hoodoo that they're doing in the Catholic Church. They're making saints. They call them saints, but we call them Loas or Orisha or Olarisha. We go deify our ancestors too and make them sort of, for lack of a better term, a saint or a deity. They're doing the same thing. That's why I have to ask Catholicism, where did y'all get y'all religious concept from? Because I know ours is older than yours. So where did you get that? Y'all probably the oldest religion, yeah, that massacred a whole bunch of people that didn't want to be up in your stuff. But where did you get that from? Anyone see Avatar? Avatar is another good movie. Sure is. Dropping gems on you right there in front of your face, telling you the truth. Right there in your face. Okay? So you have galactic ancestors. These are your soul ancestors. This is where you come from. Can you go there? Yeah, you can go there. They will pull up on you too. They're in your astrology chart. That's why when I go through there and start looking at your chart and stuff, uh, when I go through there and start looking at your chart and stuff, I start pulling out so many elements and links what you're linked to. The herbs that's good for you to work with. That's already lined up again to your soul sign, your sun sign, particularly for you. Looking at all your placement, what shadow work you need to do, what magic is you're probably going to be good at. I look at that. I have to look at that. So you got your little zodiac chart and you saying, "Oh, this explains so what? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. That's good. Let me give it to you and give you your soul work that you're supposed to be doing." That's why you come here, okay? Because you a sun sign, you a sun. Truly, you are a star, okay? You here to navigate your destiny. That's the astro chart you mentioned yesterday. Yes, it is. Okay. And so if that's something that you're interested in, get in my DM, time, date, place of birth, email address. Okay, let me put my email address here if that's something that you're interested in. And they do that in Hinduism too, the Vedic astrology too. I just started doing it. Little did I knew that they do that in Vedic astrology. So now I'm looking at Vedic astrology. Okay, because Vedic astrology, they include the moon sign. But with Western astrology, they're only looking at the sun sign. But when I'm going in there doing it, I'm looking at all these things, the sun, the moon, and all that stuff. Okay, because that's important. Okay. So let's look at the Aborigines or the Aboriginals in Australia. They hold the creation story that sky ancestors who travel from the Milky Way, shaping the land, plants, and animals before ascending back to the heavens. This is the story of the Aborigines in Australia. So you start looking at these indigenous cultures. Listen to them, because these religions wouldn't have a religion without the indigenous cultures, because they are the first ones who created a spiritual practice, which all of them stem from shamanism. And you're going to see that too. You get into Santeria or Lukumi, Apollo, the ATR, it feels ancient, it feels a lot like shamanism. And what a shaman is about. And shamanism they have ancestral spirits. They got animal spirits up in there. They work with herbs and roots. And that's another thing too. When we were healing people, you didn't go in there and just do no operation with nobody in there. You had somebody that was in there in the spirit world fighting that thing while they was operating on you. You understand me? They did a whole spiritual ceremony on you before they start cutting on you or anything. And honey, they see that spirit in the spirit realm while the shaman was taking whatever they was taking up out of you. There was a whole spiritual ceremony. They didn't just treat the body, they treat the mind and the spirit at the same time. And see, that's what's going on, patching you up, and you still got that same spirit in you. They ain't doing nothing but treating that spirit that's stuck in the body. When really they need to have you on herbs and have you doing something spiritual as well, holistic as well, to put your spirit, your energy back in alignment while they're treating your body. You come in there, people come in there, honey. I had a lady came in there I knew what was wrong with her because I was a CNA. And I think then the ancestors started, really dealing with me. But I was a CNA. This woman there, she was so overweight and her health was declining. And when she came in there, I always look at the relationships between the family members and the patient, because that tells me, I don't know, I just always been like that. I just always been like that. My mother believed that too, because when she healed herself, this is how she explained it to me, and how she was, why she was taking those herbs. And so she kind of gave me a comprehension of disease. And so when I saw that woman, I seen that interacting, I said, she's sick because her house is toxic. She's sick because she codependent, she got that stuff going on, and instead of dealing with it like she supposed to be doing, she is abusing herself. She is self-destructive. That is what's going on there. And the doctor, you could tell her what all she want to, because it put it in perspective for me, is when we got ready to change her, do a transfer from her to the bed. I think we were taking her to the bed, to the chair, and it took maybe about 6 7 people to move this woman, because she was really a really heavy woman. And then she had a lot of fluid on her body as well. And her daughter, her husband was in there. And do you know, when we got ready to lift that woman, the husband ran out of there. Left. Left. I said, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And she was not being heard because listen to her relationship with her daughters. It was toxic as well. I said, really, you lady, and I couldn't even tell her that because I probably would have lost my job. But really, she really needed a healer in there to get, to tell her the truth and start helping her do some shifting. Because she was gonna stay sick no matter what, because she was in a toxic environment. Instead of dealing with it, she became self-destructive, not taking care of herself and trying to seek pity. And that's not really what she needed. He was a part of the problem. Exactly. See, people don't see, they don't ask them about their home life, or, you know, that's important because that's some of the reason why some of them in there. You think it's in the body. No, because it started from somewhere. Before it set in the body, it was sitting in the mind and the spirit first before it even came in the body. So you need to see what's going on at home in their mind and all that stuff. Probably needs to do some shadow work and healing work, therapy work while they're in the hospital to make sure that they're healed in mind, body, and spirit, and they don't go back into that environment that makes them sick. See, that's what's gonna happen. That's what would happen uh back in the day, if you went to our healers, or if you go to a healer right now, they're going to tell you you cannot do this and this and that because that made you sick. Okay, that made you sick. So uh again, they don't do that now. And that's why you got people still sick, still going back to the hospital, still. And then you look at cancer, you know it's a spirit in there because these damn that thing is trying to mimic the person. It got eyes, some of them got eyes, hair, nails, mouth. Yeah. It's like the invasion of the body snatcher or some type of stuff growing up in you. You look at cancer. It's the environment that you in. That these spirits that set up in your body. Then psychologically, they are dispelling them into you with the dark psychology, the indoctrination, the disconnection from nature. I'm just telling you. You know, had a practitioner over there the other day, and she said, "Miss Penny, I don't know what to do. I got this going on." I instantly start giving her uh again some prescriptions for her chakra. She's like, I didn't even think about that. Yes, baby. You don't need hoodoo now more than ever. If you don't know nothing about them herbs, now's a good time to start learning about them. You over here might as well learn about them herbs because you're gonna need every bit of them. Yeah, them doctors giving you medicine, but honey, they ain't treating your mind and your spirit, and you have to do that because they ain't gonna do it. Okay, so you're gonna need that same. You don't know you needed it, and honey, when you start to heal, you see how much you need hoodoo, and you find out real quick hoodoo ain't just no magic. It's not about that. It's not just that. It's a fix your damn life, fix you, heal you type of whole modality. Okay, I have to show people that. Okay, and then you get to understanding it once you start using, trying to figure out ways to fix your life and seeing all the elements and options you have here, your ancestors created. Okay, for you to help yourself. In every culture, the same truth echoes. Humanity's origin does not begin on Earth, it begins among the stars. From the Dogon to the Malay who spoken the Nomos, from Sirius to the ancient Egyptians who revered the stars, being of Orion and Sirius as the homes of Osiris and Isis. There has long been acknowledgement that humanity has extraterrestrial or interdimensional roots. Indigenous peoples of the Americas, the Caribbean, and Africa have preserved stories of star mothers, cosmic mothers, star mothers, and cosmic ancestors who descended to the guide humanity through ritual, agriculture, medicine, and moral law. Okay? That's why you have the laws of the universe. There's universal laws. Galactic ancestors are the star elders. cosmic lineages that predate human civilization. They may originate from celestial systems such as Sirius, Orion, Pleiades, Arcturus, and beyond, each representing a unique frequency of divine intelligence. These beings assisted in the formation of planetary consciousness, genetic evolution, and the spiritual architecture of the human light body. Okay. So again, the energy systems that you see in you, these energy fields that you see in you, even the archetypes, again, they are connected again with your celestial and galactic ancestors. And we're talking about soul ancestors, where your soul was created, where it came from and manifested into this reality. And then when you came here, you got physical ancestors. You got attached linked to more ancestors, which is your family ancestors into that lineage. Is it making sense? Does this make sense to you guys? You got blood ancestors and you got soul ancestors. Let me just make it simple like that. Does this make sense to you? Is this making sense? Okay. Okay. It's making sense to you. It's important. So when you talk about ancestors now you got a wider scope. Okay. And when you start working with your chart and looking at your chart, you start working with these ancestors. You start aligning yourself with these star ancestors. And when you work with them, again, people think they can come over here and be raggedy. And I would tell you this again, you cannot trick no spirit. You cannot come over here and work with a lot of these spirits and be raggedy. You just can't do it. And working with these ancestors, they just ain't gonna let you come over here and not heal and be your best self. They're gonna be pushing you to be your best self. You're not gonna be able to do certain magic until you start removing those blockages and things out of there. Because again, people say it ain't no initiation in hoodoo. It is when you start following the ancestors. I tell you that you start following them ancestors, they're not gonna let you do certain things. You're not gonna be able to do certain things until you start working with your DNA and unlocking and removing some of those blocks in you. It just works that way. Okay. You'll get a chance to do it, but the requirement and initiation for it is going to be the ancestors work. What the new age people are called shadow work. You will have to do the ancestors work. And then they'll start showing you stuff. It will be simple. They'll probably start you working out with water, or maybe working with dirt, maybe working with candles, maybe incense. I'm always blown away what the ancestors show people. I've never heard of before, but it be working for them because that's what their ancestors showed them, and that is the magic that they're building over there with them. This is how it goes, you guys. I know what people showing you. I gotta keep saying it because you leave here, y'all gonna go and follow somebody and try to do their spell, and you don't know what spirit they working with. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know the full context. You don't know the ritual because it's a process before you even start picking up stuff and putting things together. There's a preparation process. You don't know what star to do it up under. You don't know what time to do it. You don't know. Somebody just showing you stuff, and some of you are running running with it. Had some girl that the other lady had to tell her. She was a hoodoo practitioner. That one girl said she do. Somebody show her something, she do the next day. She don't worry about time. That we just do. I said our ancestors did not do that, girl. Where'd you getting that? The girl had lady had to tell her. No, our ancestors didn't do that. Where are you getting it from? But this shows that when you have poor regulation, you don't think about what you're doing. You have to think about what you're doing. Stop just. I wish people wouldn't follow that. Really think about what you're doing, because it's an order over here. This is a science. Folks ain't just a screen freezing. I'm sorry, baby, it's freezing. But we don't just wake up and start just the next day. We plan this out. Like it's a new moon coming up uh today on the 21st. And here I am thinking to my ancestors, am I supposed to be doing something? They're like, no, you really just need to just probably uh get you a bath going or something. That's all you probably need to do. Probably want to think about that and continue to do the work that you've been doing. Probably want preparation, do preparation, a bath preparation or something, and work with some water energies. But other than that, just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. So it'll be like that sometimes, and sometimes you won't have to do no work with your ancestors. Okay. But when you're on the right path and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with your ancestors, again, you'll have them coming to you in meditation. I've had galactic ancestors come from me. I've had, Elegba taking me to unknown ancestors in another realm. I didn't even know they were there, but they wanted to see me. Okay? Keeping your mind open to that. Because what happens, let me put it another way. When you start engaging in your magical world more and more and more, the more precision you have with your magic and the more clear the communication be. But if you can't imagine it and you're not open to it and you act like you can't do this, and you won't. And that's exactly what these people want. They want you to be disconnected. But when you start looking at your magical world and you really start seeing the magic again with your inner eye, because this is not real. When you understand this ain't real, and that the spiritual realm, the dream world, or whatever they want to call the astral realm, that is the real world, and that world would not, the physical world would not be present without the astral world, because uh the spiritual world is the origin of the physical world. The physical world could not exist without the astral realm. It just could not. I didn't want to work that blue candle. I scared, but when I did, ooh wee. Okay, melanated Keisha. Okay. So you be surprised where you're at, what you want for yourself, until you think you want something. But when you start following the ancestors, they have something totally different for you and better for you, and it works out better for you. You got to get out of that ego thinking too. And you can't fool no spirit. Don't get over here and try it. It just ain't gonna work. Okay, people start having spiritual psychosis, or they come over here and start trying to do magic and interface with these spirits, and they have a mental breakdown because they refuse to do the shadow work. They just refuse to look at themselves. Some people, they think there ain't nothing wrong with them. And I tell you, you was born with something wrong with you because your ancestors had trauma in their DNA. And what I find is a lot of us have a lot of anxiety disorders because of living in a state of fear, living uh in stressful situations like you're doing right now. Okay, right, break them all the way down. You got it in you. So you need to. It was passed on. Ain't your fault. I'm not saying it's your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it and stop walking around here like ain't nothing wrong with you. Don't ask people. Stop following people to connect with your ancestors and sit yourself down. Your ancestors probably been telling you a long time. If you would just sit down and be quiet, I'll talk to you. They probably been telling you that so long. But no, I wish my ancestors would have told me not to do this. They did tell you, but you didn't. They was trying to, but you would sit down and be quiet. You love people too much. They're trying to tell you, but you won't do it. I'm probably coming down your timeline now, and your ancestors using my mouth to sit yourself down somewhere. Okay? You probably asking for a sign. This probably the sign right here. I did bipolar depression with psychosis. Uh, again, looking at the shadow work, what happened? What trauma happened to you that caused that? What are you not wanting to see? What is in the DNA in the family that you need to try to help clear out? What can you do holistically for yourself spiritually? Is it sound therapy? Is it affirmations? Is it EDMR? What can you do again to strengthen it? Can you work with angels? Okay. So again, there's always I've just seen so many people use their mind to heal themselves, and I've seen the angels, which are just great to work with because they start shifting your consciousness and helping you bring in more light energy in your mind. So again, we do have choices. We do have control and power and sovereignty over our bodies. They can't take that from us. I'm sorry it's freezing up. Okay. And thank you for sharing, lady, talking about the Lois on YouTube. Yeah. She was talking, you welcome Black Magic Mike. He just, I guess he just went and saw that video. Okay, that one was talking about that. And I don't see, and that's what and they trying to get you into these religions and stuff, and into these different ATRs. You need to be sitting down telling us something, because that's what we want to know. And then we need to be seeing that the ancestors really working with your heart, your mind, and your spirit, and stop trying to initiate somebody and pray for us. We need prayer. We don't need to be initiated. We need prayer. Offer to pray for us. Give us a mini Odu reading or something. I don't know, but don't drag us into something blindly and then take advantage of us and exploit us. Don't do us like that. Please don't do that. Okay, let us be again attracted to the religion by the fruits of your spirit, not because you're trying to solicit us into the religion, but let us see the fruits of your spirits. Let us be attracted to it. Use your magnetism. Use your attraction. Because if you're working with that much power like that, that's what we should be seeing. Not no raggedy stuff. You're doing raggedy stuff. Not that we don't, and we know it's raggedy. No. Shouldn't be hearing all these stories of people being exploited and stuff. Okay? You're making it look bad, and then you jump in people's boxes. Just it don't make no sense. Okay? And all of them like that now. I love Ifa. I love Ifa because again they talked about the ancestors. I love that way they venerate the ancestors. I can't tell you. You have to sit there and listen to one of those ceremonies. The way they sit there, those prayers for the ancestors. Baby, you can feel them. I love their prayers. I don't know what them people doing in there, what type of spice they putting on them prayers, but they are mighty. Them folk, the ones I've heard, they know how to pray. I ain't never heard nothing like that before. Made me understand why the way our ancestors prayed, the way they did in the church. So you had some prayer. The only time I've heard something like that is the prayer warriors in the church. But they got some mighty prayers. Even y'all do that, honey. Y'all can knock some socks off just with those prayers. It's really all y'all gotta do is start opening your mouth and saying them prayers, and y'all can knock some socks off. You don't have to do all that. I don't understand what you're doing over there. I love voodoo because voodoo see the ancestors. They bring it in there. That's what it is. It's ancestral. They bring it on in there. They sanctify those ancestors. That's why I love voodoo. I love them all because I see my ancestors in all of them. How can I not? Okay. That's just how I feel. I have a very big affinity for the ancestors. Just me. I love all of them in each religion. You know, I don't want to pick. Okay, I love them all. I want to study them all. Doesn't mean I want to be in a religion. I just see my ancestors in it, and I have an affinity for it. That's why I study it, because again, I'm studying finding my ancestors. I love to read about their history and where they went and what they created. I'm not worried about their religion. I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at the ancestors. I can care less about your religion. I'm looking at them ancestors up in there. That's what I love. I like that. Okay, that's just me, you guys. But other people may feel different, but that's just how, they just save my life. They save my life every day. It's just when you make your contact with them and they just start dropping so much knowledge on you. I don't know, it's just been my path. All the choosing, going, look up IFA prayers now. Okay. I mean, just love their prayers over there. They got some mighty prayers. I don't even think and I just want one praying for me. You know, they prayers gonna change your life. They don't have to do no work for you. You know what I'm saying? Once they start opening their mouth and praying, them folks got some fire conjure. I'm just saying. I'm just saying you got one praying for you. If they opening their mouth right and they right, that's the one. I don't want you to do nothing but praying for me because I already know once you open your mouth, it's gonna change my life. And they definitely got prayers like that over there. I don't know how these characters, if they're doing the character work over there, because the character work is supposed to be in front of them. The shadow work is supposed to be mastered. But they come over here and start trying to initiate people. I don't know what's going on over there, but I hope the ancestors fix it. Okay. Now again, going back into there, let me get off my soapbox about that, you guys. So again, we look at the activation of the cosmic memory. So, galactic ancestors awaken with us the memory of divine origin through meditation, dream work, ancestor veneration. One may begin recalling lifetimes and consciousness states that precede human incarnation. You got some, one lady over there said she can remember her past life. She was a mermaid. DNA memory. I think I've met two women like that. They said they remembered they were mermaids. They remember a past life. They were a mermaid. They are a matter of fact about that. Again, DNA memory. Okay. Some of us are born just real mediums or just knowing some. Just claircognizance is just so strong. Just a knowing. It's just in you like that. Again, DNA memory. Okay. And if you get over there in our community, I'm gonna get it going for you. Cause you're gonna be asking me something and I'm gonna go right back to you because I got to get you to believe it in yourself and activating that DNA so you will know you got it. Stop looking at people. Akashic records, yep. That's within you too. All that is in your DNA. All of this is in your DNA. DNA memory is already there. You just got to get somewhere and sit down and go within and stop looking on the outside because the answers ain't on the outside. It's in here. And I'm going to get you looking in there. Everything that I'm doing is get you looking in there. Self mastery. You got it. You got it. You got it. Again, to activate that memory because it's already here. That's why I break down your chart so you can see it's in there. I'm not lying. It's already in your chart. You come here with it. Okay? And so when you get over there, you get to ask me questions. We're going right back to that chart. You know it's in there. You already came here with those gifts. I put that on paper. I break it down your chart. You know you got it. So why you coming over here doubting yourself? Get over there and sit with it. And know that you know it's already in you, beloved. And if you're doubting yourself, you keep doing that, do the shadow work, start peeling that stuff back, getting it out. Yes, sit down, be quiet. Melanie 67. Sound like me. Sit down, be quiet. You know that's how ancestors used to do. Sit down somewhere and be quiet. That's what my ancestors, we was kids. That's what they used to tell us. Get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. Be quiet. Hush your mouth. Okay. So that's what they had me doing a lot of that. Don't know what I know until y'all start asking me questions. I be like, damn, I knew that. You don't know how much information they pouring in you. You don't know how much you know until you start having these conversations or till you start conversating with them and learning things and moving stuff, playing, getting on your altar. Because I had one practitioner. She said, I don't think that belong on my altar. Uh, I don't know why that was on my altar, but I thought that post to go up there. She was so matter of fact that she looked dumbfounded that she had put it up there. I said, okay. Am I supposed to put it up there? I said, I guess you supposed to, because you thought you was supposed to put it on there. Some kind of way the ancestors had you thinking it and put that up there. Leave it up there. Because if you thought it was supposed to be up there, it's supposed to be up there. But she looked baffled, like still wondering like how she thought that. She didn't know how she was thinking that. Okay. So she getting downloads. Just trust it, go with it, because it's already in you. Every time I have done this, you guys, and not understood it, and I have that urgency me into, you'll know it's them, because the urgency and impulse of being you too strong, it will feel like, you know how you got your itch somewhere and you just gotta scratch it. That's how it feels to me on the inside. Like I got to do this. And then after I do it, I feel relief. Like, I guess I'm supposed to do that because I feel I didn't get no relief until I done it. Okay. That's how I feel. It's like losing your cell phone, but you feel funny until you get your cell phone back. That's how it feels. If that make more sense. Okay. So when you go to feeling like that, that's them. That's them. So you don't know how spirits communicate, because you done worked on your impulses. You done worked on your thoughts. And so when you start feeling this and stuff going on, it be them. Even when you go to your altar, you see it, you just got a feeling you want to change it. You just want to change it around. You just want to move some stuff around. That be them. Okay? They know the way they like it. And then sometimes I have moved stuff around my altar and forgot about it and go back to the altar and be like, what happened here? It's like you moved it, remember? I was like, that was them. I'll forget that I moved it around because I wasn't doing it. It was them. Okay. It get like that sometimes because you don't know how spirits communicate. You don't know how they interact. But we did a full breakdown of that of spiritual communication, because you thoroughly need to know that on your path. If you're gonna be picking up spiritual stuff and and have communicate with your ancestors and things like that, you need to have a divination. You just gotta have one. It goes hand in hand with this. Those are the foundations. I think that's important to be hanging people up. Ancestral veneration, shadow work, and divinations. Those are going to be the foundation of your practice, because you're going to have to talk to a spirit. Okay. And it's not gonna be like you saw on Hollywood. It's not gonna be like that. So it's not like that. I think I just posted something about a lady, her daughter talks to spirits telepathically. And I already told you I like, 'cause it now is just coming down my timeline. I'm like, oh my God, why is this coming down? I just got to talking about this stuff. So again, her daughter, I mean, she's so in tune. She can tap into the thought form sphere, because that's what she's doing. There's a thought form, the mental plane, because that's what they're calling it in the mysteries. And in the occult, they call it the mental planes. But you got people that can tap into these mental planes like this, these higher planes, and they can contact and talk to spirits. Because again, everything is consciousness. That's why I tell you, when you come over here, you think you can come over here with raggedy stuff and think you can try to hide stuff from me, but you can't hide enough from no spirit. It's just impossible to do. They're looking directly at you in your full nakedness. So ain't no sense in coming over there with that. Okay. And a lot of us practitioners that do have a lot of this wisdom and knowledge, we had to work for it. We had to work on ourselves. We had to go through some storms and master ourselves before our ancestors would even share some of this knowledge, or they were sharing it with us and we didn't understand what the hell was going on, but we just had to do it. And then later they explained it to us. That's how it goes when you follow a spirit. Some of this stuff that I talked to y'all about, I have not looked up or anything, but it's ancestors. I trust it. Ancestors tell me, and then it come down my timeline, or it show up somewhere that I was right, or confirm that they were right. But I trust them anyway, because it just never fails. They never tell me nothing wrong. I've doubted it a few times when they have told me things, and every time I find out it's right. It's just been too consistent for me to doubt them. Basically, is what I'm telling you. No, for real. I'm taught by the dead. Exactly. You following the spirit, and you following dead. That's what you doing. That's what you're doing. You following it, and that scares people because they want something physical to follow. But now you get to look at the real world. You're really looking at reality because you are a spirit. You need to be following a spirit. You're not a human. That's the way. That's your avatar that your soul is in, but you're not the avatar. The avatar, this body that you're in, it again. It's very temporary. It breaks down. It wasn't meant to be eternal like your spirit, your soul. Okay. It said, yep, the meat suit. Somebody said, Sid Marlowe said, it's a meat suit. That's basically what it is. Okay. I love the way Bobby Hemmett explained it. I was looking at one of his videos and I said, that makes sense. But they was talking about he was talking about when they was building everything and they made the stars and everything, uh, why they build the pyramids. And he was talking about at the last dynasty, that's when everything shut down. And the man was like, "Why is that?" He said, "That's because people became more solidified. They were spirits at first. We were living in the astral realm. We were just pure energy at first. And the longer that we lived on Earth, the more denser our bodies got, and we began to forget that we were originally spiritual beings." And they were becoming more. I was like, that kind of makes sense. Okay, kind of makes sense. We materialized. We were just pure spirit at first, nothing but energy bodies. And so we knew that the longer we stayed here, uh, that we were going to be solidified. So that's why we started writing the spiritual sciences on walls and trying to, remember to keep the memory going, because we were losing parts of our memory too. And that is what I said. That's very interesting perspective to look at that from. I can't doubt that. You know, but it's good that we have these conversations and discussions, because it opens our mind to look at things from a different perspective and understand things, the science, through the lens of our ancestors. Okay. I once put $500 on my altar and they made me forget it was there until they wanted me to go to Bali and remind me the money was on the altar. They do stuff like that. They do stuff. Look what California 444. They do stuff like that. They do stuff like that. Okay? They do. They just do. And I know that was strange to you. I know you was like, damn, well, how did I forget this money? How could I forget I had this right here? How did I? Yeah, it happens. It be like that. Okay. And everybody got their own experience. I could not believe it. Yeah. I believe it though, because they do stuff like that. I have found money in my purse. I just forgot that it was in my purse. But I got money in my purse that I have forgot about. They have done that to me. And when you start seeing them do consistent things, like I'm in Thailand, and I done just seen them show up and show out. I'm just like, wow, wow. So again, until you put in that work and you want to have this relationship with your ancestors, beloved, go within, trust you. Don't nobody know better than you. They don't know more than you. They don't know more about your ancestors than you. And yes, you have it in you because your ancestors put that in you. They purposely put that in you. Okay. And if you don't want to do it, it's because you're making the choice not to do it. Okay. And how do we connect with galactic ancestors? How do we do this? We're already doing it. Okay. You're already doing when you're looking at your astrology chart. You're already doing when you do ancestral veneration. You're already doing it. So you have those ancestors as well with you, helping you understand your soul lesson and your destiny. It's really amazing when you do what you're supposed to do. It's a blessing. Yep. Look at California Forever 444. When you do what you're supposed to do, it becomes a blessing, because basically what you do, what I am emphasizing here is self-care and self-love. And some of us, we don't want to do it. We want to do everything outside of ourselves. We don't want to focus on ourselves. And I understand because it was hard for me to sit down with myself and focus on myself. I felt like I need to be doing something else. I need to be focused on something else. But really, the more I focus on myself, the more aware that I am, the more I change myself, the more my reality changed. I didn't think I had time either. But when I started slowing down and taking care of myself, time started to work for me. It felt like I was bending time and time was slowing down for me. It felt like I was caught up in a time warp somewhere until I slowed down and started going within and slowing things down and going within. Things tend to work. It seemed like the time didn't address me like it addressed everybody else. I wasn't rushing. None of that. That's again because I put spirit first. I put self care first. Taking care of myself. Put that first. It seemed like time started bending to me. It's an illusion making you think I ain't got time. I ain't got time. I ain't got time to take care of myself. You absolutely have time to take care of yourself. Matter of fact, time gonna start working for you and on your behalf when you start doing this. And when you late, you actually early. You actually right on time. There is no such thing. Okay. Things will just you'll have to put that first. When you start doing your life like that and spirit sees that you're serious about that, you're earnest about that, because see, they looking at you. They are looking at you. When they see that, then you'll start getting more and more downloads. They'll be sharing more and more information. You be sitting somewhere that you'll see something in a whole download to start a whole conversation to start. How you doing, Cosin K? Okay. So we're talking about galactic ancestors here. And of course, over there in our community, we've already broke down ancestral veneration. We have went over that thoroughly. And then you'll go over it again through these books. You're gonna see that in your face. Ancestral veneration, shadow work. Because even some of these authors are putting it in their books. They're putting shadow work in their book. They're putting ancestral veneration in these books. So if you're doing hoodoo without ancestral veneration, you're making that choice. You're making that choice to practice raggedy magic. That's what you're doing. You can't you can't have it without them. So I don't know what you're doing. Okay. And I don't recommend you doing stuff with other people doing because you know what spirit they work with. You don't know what energy signature that's on the work that is connected to that deity. They not giving you full context of what's going on. Okay. And you need to understand that when you say regular. You know, I'm just saying, you don't want to be out there like that. Okay, when you in order, your magic's in order. You have more peace in your life. The energy flows a lot clearer. But if you a storm, you ain't right. You know, that's how it's gonna be. That's how your magic gonna be. It ain't gonna have no stability to it. It has to have some stability to it. There has to be some emotional regulation going on because a lot of us got a poor emotional regulation because we never healed our inner child. We still got trauma on top of trauma, stuff that happened on top of us. This happened to you. Somebody broke your heart. Somebody robbed you. Somebody stole from you. You were abused. Some of us got all that stuff piled on top of us, and we don't want to deal with it. And then a lot of us, what I see too, we don't like dealing with our feelings. We don't want to talk about our feelings. We don't want to talk. It is so hard, and I think it's like that. And again, I'm talking to my community, my people, because we had to be so tough and all that stuff, and now our emotions is frozen. We're scared to even deal with them. We're even afraid of our emotions. We don't even like being mad. We're scared of how we're gonna be mad and all that stuff. We don't want to be sad. We don't want to cry because we feel it like it's weakness because we've had to survive through a lot of things, and we got to break that down. Have to get you over there and get that going with you, especially in our healing circle. That's why I have our community talk. I want you talking because when they first, you first get in there, I see them every time. I ain't got nothing to talk about. Yeah, I had a hard life. No, 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 no. You're not doing that here. Some happened to you. Some happened to our whole damn ancestors, and you think ain't nothing wrong with you? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And then they notice, when I give them their workbook and they answer these questions and they start talking, they didn't wrote stuff down, but when they start talking, honey, stuff start pouring out of them they didn't even know that was in them, because they get I'm opening a space for them to release that stuff. And you'll have some of them say, I didn't even know I remembered that till I started talking about it. I didn't even know that was in me. I didn't even know I felt like that. Yeah, because you kept holding it, because you kept trying to be strong. This ain't the time for it. You got to release that stuff. Okay? You don't want to have it in the way. I can't tap this screen that fast enough. I have a lot to talk about. Okay? It's in you. We don't know how, we didn't have a chance to be soft. Our ancestors couldn't be tender with us. They couldn't love us the way, they wanted to, because they was too busy trying to survive. And then nobody gave that to them. A lot of them couldn't give it to us. It ain't their fault that we grew up with some parents that just was not emotionally well, because they was living in a place that they had to be tough all the time. And I know I'm Gen X. My mama uh raised me up to be tough, putting hands on people and everything. Just poor emotional regulation. I was talking about that in the meeting, honey. I was just so raggedy. And I was so raggedy when I said, damn, I'm so ragged. I got over there with the ancestors. I cried. I cried. I didn't know I was that ragged. I said, oh my God, I'm just pitiful. Ancestor says, you sure is, baby. You sure raggedy, but you ours. We gonna help you. You can be fixed. I sat there and cried like a baby because I just didn't see it until I started sitting down looking at myself. I ain't got no room to talk about nobody because I got so much on my plate I need to fix. I need to just hush. They said that's why we have you shutting up, baby. Cause we know. We looking at you. Okay? So that self-reflection come in. Facts. I was drinking to deal with all my feelings before. The ancestors took that away and told me to get busy. That was a year ago. My life was so blessed as now. I'm telling you, they would tell you. That's why I keep my mouth off people. I have mercy, grace, and compassion. Because when I think about me, no, they gave me mercy. I don't know where I would be without mercy and compassion and grace. I don't know where I would be. I need that. I needed that. I try to extend that to other people. Okay. How you doing, side of real astrology? I try to extend that to other people. I know how raggedy we is because I look at myself. So I know how raggedy I was and didn't know it. I can't imagine what's going on with you when you start looking at yourself. And they love you regardless. They know. They know what's in there. It ain't your fault. Nobody blaming you, but it's there. It's your responsibility to heal it. And it is gonna be your fault. You know this going on with you, and you continue to want to be raggedy. Now you making that choice. Okay. That's just like when I get you over there, I tell all of you, I can't make y'all do the work. I can't make you read the information. I can't make you do shadow work. I can provide you a great support system. I can provide you quality materials and resources for you to make it easier for you. I can do that for you. We can do workshops, but I cannot make you do it. I'm blessed. My mother showed much. Believe her, I are part of breaking generational curses. I know that's right. Okay, so the work depends on you, beloved, and you're not doing it alone. Like I told you, you have galactic ancestors that you can interface with. You have uh land ancestors, the most, and again, when I'm talking about this, these are the ancestors that are among the most elevated, beloved ancestors. So when I'm talking about land ancestors and I'm talking about galactic ancestors, I am talking about elevated ancestors. I hope that made sense. And I'm breaking it down for you so you'll understand. And I know a lot of you have been told you're associating ancestor veneration with just family. But no, we're going beyond that. And I know this is a shock to you, it was a shock to me. And then you have ancestors of ancestors. You have ancestors that are attracted to you because of the way you venerate your ancestors. Yeah. The people that go to the graveyard and clean graves and stuff like that, and sit with those ancestors and feed them, those ancestors will adopt you. Ain't that something? That tripped me out. Yeah. Yeah. You got some people do that. I dated a guy. I thought that was so weird, and he told me I love going to the graveyard at night and drinking and talking to spirits. That scared the hell out of me. I said, "What the hell? I'm not doing that with you, and don't ask me to." He said, "So peaceful out there. It's so peaceful. It's fun." I said, "What the hell?" I thought that was the weirdest thing, but now that I look back at it, I was like, kind of makes sense. Okay, so don't all races have some extraterrestrial involvement? I'm gonna say this like this. They have said that, but then I got to go back. Who has the oldest writings of extraterrestrials? I'll wait. Who wrote it first? Who was talking about it first? Who was first here on Earth talking about it? Because see, what I see is people come take our stuff and then make up stuff and build stuff on top of it. That's what I see. I see that in the New Age and all this kind of stuff. Them talking about Milky. I don't want to hear it. I just don't. Because you're sitting up there, I don't want to hear it. It'd be different if the things look a different type of way. But then you have them too coming in and calling it neo pagan when really they're talking about indigenous cultures, but they're gonna call it neo pagan. What are you talking about? You made up a whole new word to not say indigenous spiritual practices, so you just gonna call it neo pagan. This is what they do now. I'm just telling you what they do. Okay. Looked in the book the other day. I already told you about that chaos magic. Okay. I ain't think that thing had nothing to do with us. To the ancestors kept saying, you open that thing up. We done sent about 2 or 3 people your way to tell you open that book up. You usually will open it, but I said, but I don't want to open it up because it looked like it ain't right. I said, it look like it ain't right. I don't want to open it up because I don't want to look at that. It's gonna be something in there that just ain't right. They said, girl, open that book up. I opened that book up and started looking at that book. I said, this is hoodoo. They said, exactly. I said, why is they calling it chaos magic like that? And you look at that book, it really doesn't describe what they're calling it. So, I think the only thing that was close to it, they said they can change their belief anytime they wanted to. But even when I was hearing that, that sound like Obia. Obia is like that because it covers a wide scope of the spiritual science. I thought chaos magic was melanin magic. That's what it sounds like it is. But the man that created it, that's not what he intended it for. That's not the way he's describing it. The man who created it, because he was in the occult. And what happened when I think his name is Phil Hine or something like that. I think he's from Germany, if I'm not mistaken, because he's the one who came up with that system. Now he was in the occult, and my understanding of it is he didn't like the watered down version of the occult they had in the Freemasonry. He didn't like it, you know. And chances are, from my understanding, what the ancestor was telling me, he didn't want to do all that stuff either. He didn't feel all that stuff was necessary to get to your own divinity. He didn't feel like that was necessary. Okay, and so he took up all that other stuff they put in there, and he went to shamanism, Taoism, and animism. I think animism is in there too. Okay, he went into that and he created his own spiritual system. Hoodoo community, show me some love. I need to be with my people. Well, you over here now. Us, we built them pyramids. Okay. So when you got somebody talk about aliens and stuff, who's talking about them first? Who's talking about them first? You don't hear this later that they come in channeling with these aliens. I don't know what to think about that. I know the ancestors told me to stay away from New Age because them people that ain't you. This is enough for you. Your ancestors got enough over here for you. Don't go over there because them people still trying to figure stuff out. That is none of your business. Stay over here. You know what it is over here. Them people over there guessing, they don't know. They're still trying to figure things out. You don't have to guess. Get over here because you know. We created a whole science over here to you. You don't have to get over there and start pretending and stuff. Let them folks do that. That's what my ancestors told me. Now you can go over there and play with that if you want to. Uh, that stuff over there is gonna create a lot of spiritual psychosis following that mess. Okay, a lot of delusion is going on over there. Okay, just making up stuff. You want to be careful over there because they have you up there. Sorry, you guys. They have you up there. You don't know what you're doing. They just making up stuff. I told you about that man. I went to that metaphysical church and he was laying, it looked like to me they was doing Reiki in the church, like I told you. The man was around there. He was laying. I thought that was beautiful. It was a metaphysical church. Uh, in Arkansas. They do have metaphysical churches where they'll have witches in there, and they'll have angel reader, tarot card readers in there. They'll have Reiki practices. There are metaphysical churches across America. So I went in there and honey, that man was laying hands on people. I said, "Oh, this is Reiki. This is Reiki. He's doing hands-on healing." And so when he came over to me, and he was like, "Would you like me to do it?" I don't know if I told him yes or no. And I called it Reiki. He said, "This ain't Reiki." I said, "What? That's Reiki. It's exactly like Reiki. It's like that, what you're doing. This is called oneness blessing." What? It's called what? I call this oneness blessing. I get people certified in oneness blessing. Boy, I want to tell them, boy, you done took this stuff and calling it something else. It didn't need for you to change it. Why you changing stuff and messing with stuff? And he ain't look like me either. Okay, it didn't look like me. What gave you the right to change something? It ain't even yours to be changing. Now you trying to own something and then gonna tell you what, girl, boy, sit down somewhere. Get somewhere and sit down. See what I'm talking about? Just change that into something else. And it didn't need your help. It didn't need you to name it, nothing else. Get somewhere and sit down. These people that created a whole spiritual science of energy healing. And here you is, you get your hand on it. It ain't gonna be good no more. I definitely don't want you touching me because you're calling it something else. Stop it. It didn't need you to fix it. You know. So now I don't go over there with them people because they like renaming your stuff and calling it something else. And it don't be that. Okay? So I don't get over there. You listen to it real good. I listen to it, they'll come with something new. And ancestors be like, girl, that ain't new. We been knew that. Every time I get to listen to them, ancestors get talk to me, girl, that ain't nothing new. We been knew that. Go somewhere that told you don't be listen to them people. They can't tell you nothing new. Cause everything they getting from us, but they watering it down and stuff. Leave that alone. Okay? So stay away from that. They came with that twin flame stuff. They driving people crazy with that stuff. I had people come to me, girl, boy, that is look, that is a whole different concept that don't even supposed to be applied to human beings. That was a whole different that don't even apply to human beings. You got people running around here now look for a twin flame. They are pushing codependency, a love addict. That's what that is. You got people around here chasing a man, a woman don't want them because somebody told them about a twin flame. I'm just telling you. And they believe that too. Ain't nothing you can get that out of their head because they love addicts and they codependent. That's the real damn problem right there. When really you ain't supposed to be looking for nobody. You supposed to be finding yourself, not the twin flame. You don't even know your damn self. You don't even love yourself. So how you gonna do that with somebody else? I'm just telling you the truth. Okay, I just remember Bobby Hemming and Brother Penny talking about it frequently. Okay. You see, they calling it something, and I think that's what Kay was talking about, that chaos magic being melanin magic. I think that's what when they went down a rabbit hole, they dived deeper into it and ran into that. Okay, and I think they're looking at chaos magic more of like because I've heard them. A lot of people we talk about darkness and lightness, and I've seen that in the mysteries. And see what happens here. You got somebody coming in here, these patriarchs coming in here stealing something with the yin and yang, and telling you that the dark is passive and da 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 da, and the light is a more, you know, inclusive, direct, or whatever. No, that's just totally false. You coming in stealing stuff and you don't understand it. You don't. They're just two different types of energy. You got dark energy that is raw, it is primal. You can do more things with it other than light energy. You'll only be able to use that in certain ways. That light energy, it's not as palatable as dark energy. Dark energy, you can create anything with it. People, I know people have associated with something evil, but it's not that. It's just raw primal energy. When you look at melanin is like that too. And I think that's, you know, what Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic then was trying to understand when they talked the chaos magic. I think more they were talking about understand dark energy. I don't know if I'm even making sense, you guys. Okay. I hope that makes sense to you. But that's what you're looking at. And then like to call it black magic. Well, you ain't insulting nobody because the darkness was here before the light. You cannot have light without darkness. You cannot have it. Light cannot exist without darkness, but darkness can exist without light. You do the math. Use your common sense. Slow down and think, because see, them churches, they don't have us thinking. They be too busy selling us fantasies, and we coming from somebody real, and somebody from the sky gonna come down and take us up, and all this, the rapture, just all kinds of crazy, just fantasy, fairy tale, Santa Claus stories. All you gotta do is just tell the facts. But y'all want to just give us, you know, all kind of lies. But again, that's what's in the darkness. That's where that magic's gonna be. And see, them folks didn't want to do that. That's why you got them have this tree of life up here. It don't make no sense to me, because you still got to climb that tree of life like a serpent. So you're still using the divine mother energy to climb the tree. And at the top of the tree of life, who's up there? Divine feminine. But one thing about the other tree, which is different, which is on the dark tree, on the night side of the tree, you go right into the divine feminine when you go up the night side of the tree. I like to call it the roots. They like to call it the darkness. I believe it's the roots. I don't believe it's the backside of the tree. I think it's the root of the tree, because the light tree wouldn't be there without these roots. That's just my opinion. You can take that or leave it. But the more, that's just my study and the way they're trying to describe it. Because to me, you wouldn't that tree wouldn't even be there without this divine feminine serpent knowledge. Okay, that's just my perspective, my understanding, comprehension of it. Because I sit down, look at things, study things, and uh, ponder the science, the spiritual science. And again, I'm a Sagittarius. We're natural philosophers and truth seekers, and you know, so I can get a little nerdy and deep with this. Okay, so excuse me, you know, and I'm glad I can come here and talk about it, because it's not many people that like having these sorts of conversations and having these type of conversations, because sometimes I can be outputting people that be like, I don't know what the hell you talking about. Okay. I don't know what the hell you talking about, but I like to make it plain and break it down to help you understand. Okay. And so there is no such thing. That's why when people come to me and say, is it divine feminine and masculine? There is no such thing as a divine masculine. It's just not. Now you can play with that if you want to, but there's no such thing as that. Okay, it really ain't. They know divine masculine. It ain't. They made that up. They stealing this science from your ancient mothers. We had no words for that. Okay, there was no words for that. So you got somebody coming in stealing stuff, trying to apply a spiritual science to them that was never meant to be for them. I hope that made sense, because all the science, all these spiritual sciences are coming from the divine feminine. That's why they got to wear them robes and them ceremonies and things like that. They have to wear them robes. That's why the Pope dressed the way he dressed. Again, it's all divine feminine. They have to mimic that because that is the archetype that created that. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. They just got up in Freemasonry and which I'm gonna get into that next month. They got into Freemasonry and they tried to create a man cult. That's a man cult. They said women got their own stuff, they got their own stuff, and we gonna get our own stuff. Yeah, they got Eastern stars in there, but Eastern stars are under the supervision of the Freemasons. Okay. They probably the rituals probably raggedy just like theirs. Because if it wasn't raggedy, you wouldn't have to be taking an oath to that lodge and acting like you ain't got no ancestors. Because you got hoodoo over here. You didn't need that. You didn't need it. So why did you jump over there? Because your allegiance to them, you got to deny your family, your familiar, your ancestors, and everything when you jump yourself over there. Your allegiance is to them by any means necessary until death. These are oaths that you take now. You ain't supposed to be taking them oaths like that. I don't care what you're saying, what you're doing, and you saying that ain't going on. Well, use a lie, because you come out here and you start running your mouth and you tell us what's going on in there. You put it in your books and all that stuff. Okay, so y'all know what y'all doing over there. Don't need to be doing it. Don't need to be you had hoodoo. You had hoodoo. Hoodoo was enough mystery science for you. It was a mystery science for you. But see, they cut that off from the church. Cause we don't want that primitive stuff in there. We got Freemasonry and we got this. You get over here in Freemasonry, you'll make a whole bunch of money. And then when they got over there in Freemasonry, that's when you start hearing all this prosperity preaching. Ain't nobody doing no house visits no more. We sitting up there draining, exploiting the members. And now the church raggedy, everybody else up in there raggedy, and everybody wonder why everybody acting a damn fool in there because these people's out there unleashing these spirits out here in the church. Okay, that's what's going on there. Looking at it from a spiritual perspective, that's what's going on. Because a lot of them taking these oaths and stuff, they don't give a flying flip, and they bringing them spirits right up in there with them. Okay, and them spirits again are wreaking havoc on the congregation. They can't get their prayers answered. Seem like the more they pray, the more money they put in church, the more bad stuff happen to them. The more money they lose. Why you think that's happening? Remember, Miss Penny, I think Ancestor Baldwin said, if you think I'm talking over your head, maybe I'm talking where your head should be. Okay, that's what at Magic Mike said. Black Magic Mike said that. He said, "Remember, Miss Penny, I think Ancestor Baldwin, I think you're talking about, I think that's James Baldwin, I'm not mistaken, said, if you think I'm talking over your head, maybe I'm talking where your head should be." They sit there and told you that. Okay, you got so many people telling you that. Tell you right there. You saying that the shift happened in the church. Um, when we took hoodoo out of it, and they were conscious of it. We took root work, let me say that, root work and conjure out of the church. That's when the church lost its power. When they start going into Freemasonry, trying to be like these people, integrate with these people, be in lodges with these people. Your ancestors gave you something totally different. They gave you who that was your secret society right there. That was the secret society. You didn't need nothing else. They didn't bamboozled you. I was watching them happen to my grandma, and we went to church 3 day a week, and Bible study. She paid dues. Be getting your money in that church, and you be like, "Why, Lord? Why is this still going on?" I done did what you told me to do. I done did this and did that. It's them things up in that church. Okay? Even without Lysol. All for her to get sick and pass. I watched her 13 years do this. See? Them people are supposed to be back then when they was in the church, these you had conjure women and conjure men in the church. You had somebody root working on you, praying for you, and them people having shut-ins and fasting for you. They was going to your house. A lot of these preachers. That's how they was doing it. You be lucky to get a preacher come out and pray for you. Buy you a bag of bread. You be lucky. And some of them they don't want to help you if you not down on their tithe list. If you ain't been tithing, what they don't want to do nothing for you. It's telling you what they're there for. And then have no shame in your game. If you're not giving to their church, they're gonna call you in there and say you ain't giving enough. It's the audacity for me. And you don't even take care of people's soul, minds, and spirits. You ain't giving out no herb. You don't even start a program or nothing to start building scholarships, houses and stuff for people in here. The church is supposed to be used for a community center, for all a base center, for all to meet the community needs. Y'all don't do that. Really, you don't even need that church as big as that it be. You don't need it. God can't even fit in there, especially if you ain't gonna be using it for the people. You only in there what 2, 3 times a week. I don't see a church over here in Thailand. It's not churches on every corner. You know what's on every corner? Honey, people got businesses everywhere on every corner. Everywhere you look, it's gonna be a store. It's gonna be a store. Somebody selling you something. Somebody, honey, these people they make them a store. They be on they scooter. They got a whole little shelf on the side, a whole restaurant on the side of a damn scooter. They got their own business, baby. People making money. Now, what I do see everywhere is altars. And you're gonna see them altars everywhere. People that's making money, they got money. They got altars probably on right there on they scooter. Gonna be right there. Yeah, pharmacies and businesses everywhere. Business you can't walk nowhere where it ain't no business or it ain't no altar. They're gonna have an altar right there in the business. You're gonna see them everywhere, everywhere. You're gonna see them everywhere. Okay, you'll see no churches and stuff like that everywhere. Don't got that over here. And these people spiritual. They ain't got no real bad crime and all that over here. You really start looking at where you at and saying, what the hell am I missing here? What are we missing here? Try to make America, y'all try to make yourselves, when I'm talking about the powers that be, make it seem like y'all superior to everybody when really you the raggedest country, you the raggedest government around here. You the raggedest government anybody have ever laid eyes on. You're raggedy. And you trying to make us think, oh, y'all got it made. No, you go look at these some of these other countries, honey. They are more advanced than America. We live in ghetto over there compared to these other countries. We live in ghetto. But they to convince you got the best of the you got the best of everything. No, you don't. This is the indoctrination that they got going on there. Okay, and you got it in the church. They just have infiltrated everywhere. And I know what they saying to you. We don't do that. We make us a better person. Okay, what about all this stuff y'all repeating up in here? What are y'all bound down to the master of the lodge like they God? Why are you blindly? You don't even know the ritual that you're doing, but you blindly doing it. You got to blindly follow something. You got to keep nasty, dirty secrets. Somebody said Singapore is nice with it. We had the best time, best till it was stolen. Okay, so they know what they're doing. And again, when you think about ancestor veneration, we're not just talking about family. We are talking about galactic ancestors. We are talking about land ancestors. And you got to remember that your ancestors had relationship with elementals. So you have elemental ancestors as well. I hope this making sense to all of you. So now when you start thinking about ancestors, or you're thinking to yourself, no, I don't want to put my family on there. They're just too sick. They're just too dysfunctional. They hurt me. Baby, you don't have to put them up there. You can put your most elevated ancestors up there. You don't have to put family on there. You can go all the way out to the land ancestors, galactic ancestors, and work with them. And then as you move on, you will have ancestors that will adopt you. Okay. You'll go into the affinity ancestors, which we'll probably talk about the affinity ancestors tomorrow. But you'll have, again, you have affinity ancestors. So it's such a wide scope when we start talking about ancestors, and when you again start understanding some of the spirits that you're working with and how smart your ancestors was developing these spiritual systems. I never heard anyone break it down like this. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, seeker of no. Okay. So again, you have more than just family. Now you have people that I've had people over there in the community, and they say, "Hey, I got my family members up here, but Miss Penny, I still feel like I'm stuck. I feel like ain't nothing going on. I got my family members up there. I'm going to my altar. I'm talking to them, and I'll let you need to take them off. You need to recalibrate your altar and start over. You need to pray for them and take them down and put them to rest. Clean the altar off. Put another a white cloth tablecloth up there. Start simple with water, flowers, uh, your stones, your candles. Keep it simple. Don't put a picture or nothing on there. Just keep it simple. Okay. Then purposely call your most elevated ancestors. Be consistent with it. Pour libations. And you'll start seeing your mind will start clearing out, and you will start seeing positive shifts. Someone did that and said, "Oh my God, Miss Penny, I feel so clear now. My mind feels so clear." Absolutely, you do. Because those ancestors, again, I'm not saying they were bad people, but them spirits is tired. And most times you're placing them up there, you're not even asking for their permission to work for you. Some of them don't even have the strength to work for you. They need a lot more elevation for you start working with them like that. I never knew. Okay. I never knew about infinite ancestors. Yes. Affinity. They're called affinity. And these are usually tied with your nations, or they're tied to a particular profession that you're doing. I'll get in it tomorrow. I kind of talked about it a little bit, but go into more details about it tomorrow. You'll have affinity ancestors, and they are connected with the nations, the culture, the activists, the singers, the writers, um, just different uh, ancestors of different interests that will adopt you, and you'll have affinity for them, or they'll have an affinity for you and start working for you. Okay, they might start showing up. That's just like for a long time, and you'll see people that start doing it. We do it when we repeat the things that they say and they write. I know for a while there, on my personal altar, I had Aunt Caroline Dot on my altar. To me, it was inspiration for me to calling on her to kind of help her me perfect my hoodoo, uh just drawing on her inspiration. Again, that would be an affinity ancestor. Okay. Marie Laveau, affinity ancestor. She see that you trying to perfect voodoo or magic or something like that. You can call on Marie Laveau. People go to her grave. I talked about this. That's why I tell some people, I tell, people, this is closed. Hoodoo is closed because of the ancestral links. and the trauma that's in there. You should appreciate me telling you this, because you don't want this heaviness. This not what you want. We got too much work to do over here. You shouldn't want to come over here. We got to kill we got to kill 3 and 4, 5 generations over here. We're healing our mind, body, and spirit. You shouldn't want this. You don't want this, because we have to work to get to the other sides of our gifts. Surely we have gifts, talents, and we have power over here, but we have to work on ourselves to access that magic. It's hiding behind all the trauma. So no, it is closed. And when you start, some of our ancestors do not like, they don't want to, they don't like that. And some of them were very vocal about they don't want them in their space like that. Okay? You just got some ancestors that's like that. They're very adamant about that. So it would, and then what all the trauma, because of the kind of trauma they experience, yes, it's closed. And it's for your own good. You don't want to come over here trying to work with some of these ditches and they don't know you, you don't look like them. Okay. We had ancestors like that. I had a grandmother like that. She just, she went through so much stuff in Jim Crow, she just didn't want to be around them. Okay. Every time around that woman and you get around pale face people, she gonna be calling them all kinds of crackers and all sorts of names. I just be looking upside her head. I don't like them. I said, okay. I can't get mad. I can't get mad at her, because again, she's righteous about what it is. They just was like that. There's nothing we can do about that. It is what it is. Okay. And some of them are like that. They just don't like it. And so a lot of ancestors, y'all would not be, because it's so ancestral based, you wouldn't be able to do it. And I know you think, oh, we're doing the same thing. It may look like that, but we're absolutely not. That's not the power behind our work. What powers our work don't power your work. It may look like we're doing the same folk magic, but it is not the same. Yeah, we do some of the same rituals, but we're using different energy currents. Your energy currents are totally different from our energy currency that we're using that powers our work. Okay? And nobody trying to be funny. Y'all got your own stuff. Y'all got your own folk magic that works just fine. Works just fine. Okay? Works just fine. Nothing wrong with it. You got your own ancestors. Okay? You know about folk magic. Y'all got your own stuff over there. So there's no need to be trying to reach for something, you know, that your ancestors didn't create. Your ancestors created a whole magical system for you. There's no reason to jump over here and start messing with stuff in hoodoo, especially if you don't have any ancestral lineages, a linkage to that. Okay, I'm just trying to help you. Your stuff is just as good. You probably need to sit down and practice it and talk to your ancestors about it. Okay, because you getting over here don't mean you're gonna get the same power that our ancestors extend to us. It doesn't mean that. It means that you're gonna get yourself over here, and these ancestors you can't call on because they're ancestral, just like them ancestors and some of them ancestors in voodoo. Okay, they are dark skinned. They're ancestral. I don't know why they don't keep that close like this. I don't understand that either. Cause I be seeing some of them folks go over there and been initiated. I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't advise it for you. Okay. So when you study your own chart and you look at your own chart through the eyes of spirit, you are conversing with your galactic family, your ancestors. You are hearing the voices of those ancient intelligences who helped craft your light body and guided you to incarnate on earth at this time. Okay. So again, looking at your birth chart, um, seeing those ancestral connections that's in there, and looking at your soul sign, looking at your soul work that you have to do is very beneficial. And again, working with these ancestors, it will come up from time to time. That's why you see the Mercury retrograde come up and people are trying to fix things, and and get their communication and stuff together. And you'll see Elegba is also again associated with Mercury, communication, lords of all roads. Elegba is associated with Mercury. So you start seeing these connections in here. And especially when you look at your natal chart, start breaking it down, looking at it, you'll see so many attributes that came with you and so many elemental spirits you have as spiritual allies as well. And I find that in your chart. When I start looking at your chart, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the ancestors in your chart. When I get done with it, that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you all of that. The elementals that's in your chart that's connected with our ancestors, the ancestors that you need to be working with. That's all that's going to be in there. It's usually already always in there. Anybody have any more questions to me? Here we go. What does galactic celestial ancestors mean? These means ancestors that are connecting with astrology. Like our ancestor says, as above, so below. Who was the first people to start mapping out the stars? You start seeing the Egyptians do it, doggone do it. What is their story? That we have ancestors from other galaxies. Did that answer your question, Josiah Jones? And if you're interested in hearing this whole entire live, go to our YouTube channel. This will be recorded there. You'll get the whole scoop. I want to tap into my hoodoo, but this is so hard to understand. It ain't hard. If you're willing to read and sit down and understand, it ain't hard. It's only hard because you make it hard. It ain't hard at all. It starts with ancestor veneration. You get somewhere and sit down and read and stop listening to people. So I just gave you a little bit of it. If you sit down and read, all you gotta do is sit down and slow your mind down. Your mind probably going too fast. Probably needs some regulation going on, but it ain't hard. All you gotta do is sit down and listen. Sit down, put a book in your face. Open your mind up. It ain't really hard. Okay? It's only hard because we make it hard because a lot of us don't want to do the work. We think magic's supposed to be we put it in the microwave because we use stuff fast. It's supposed to happen and if that's what you think that's gonna happen over here in Hoodoo, you is sadly mistaken. I don't know. Nobody over here ain't doing no work. That it don't work like that. Especially when you working with spirits, you have to earn their trust. There's levels to this. When they see you clearing out different things, you can fool me. You can say, "Man, hey, Miss Penny, I've been doing my shadow work." And you could tell me a real good story and say, "Oh yeah, I've been doing this and I've been doing it." I probably would believe it. But guess who? Guess who know that you ain't doing it? You can't tell them spirits that. You can't hide from no spirit. They know you ain't doing nothing. You sit up there capping and you're brown nosing and all that stuff. That don't make that doesn't count as work. Okay, I see people do it all the time. I don't need you smooching me. You better be smooching on them ancestors somewhere. You better be convincing them that you're doing the work, because that ain't gonna get you nowhere with me. That ain't who you need to be trying. You need to be trying to impress me. You need to be trying to impress your ancestors and make them proud of you, not me. Okay. Now, when I see you doing that, that makes me proud. When I see you follow your ancestors, I'm happy for you. I'm elated. Okay. I'm relieved. Okay. What somebody say? How do you know if I'm connected to Hoodoo ancestry wise? What color are you? Are you African American? Are you African American? Now you have some ancestors that may not like Hoodoo. That's why I don't recommend putting families members on there because a lot of them was thoroughly convinced of Christianity. They believe that. I'm not putting them up there if they believe that. I don't want to work with them. Okay, I'll pray for them, but I don't want to work with them because they believe that stuff. Okay, some of them don't want that for you. Hey, new here. I'm being urged by my ancestors to connect. I'm nervous. Don't be nervous. Okay, where can I start research wise? Ancestral veneration. Ancestral veneration. Spiritual connection. I mean, spiritual communication. Divination. Ancestral veneration. Ancestral communication. If you get into hoodoo and you're a person of color, Okay, where can I start research? I answered that. Would I be able to work with the most powerful ancestors? That's up to you. Are you willing to do the shadow work and dive deep? See, y'all want to work with powerful ancestors until it's time to do the work, until it's time to strip down that ego, until it's time for you to stop doing raggedy stuff. Are you ready for that? Because you're going to pay for every bit of that power. It don't come for free. You're going to get naked in the spirit and earn every bit of that. That's what you need to understand. That, you know, that's initiation. They mess that up because they think when you get over there and get initiated, you get the power. That don't happen like this. Dumb spirit, you ain't getting nothing shaking and moving. If you ain't showing them spirits, you serious. And you got some self-control and you got emotional regulation. Because that comes with a great price. And you going to do that work if you want that power. I had an altar before and ended up letting it waste away during a depression. I have shame because of it. I tell everybody that I heard that too. I used to be like that. I don't feel like going to my altar. I'm depressed. And says that's when you need to go to see if it's working. That's when you need to go to the altar to see if it's working. Because when you sit there long enough, you doing what you're supposed to do up there, crying, whatever you're doing, go ahead and do it at the altar. And when you leave there, you should feel better. That's how you tell if it's working. That's how you tell if it's working, y'all. Take it to the altar. And take it to that altar. That's what it's there for. It's your safe haven. It's there to shift the energy. It's there to help you, nurse you. That's when you should go. When you feeling sad and depressed, let those spirits take care of you. Go over there and cry. Get it out. I bet when you leave there, you're going to feel better. You're going to start doing it more often. You're going to be running to that altar. Can't wait to get there and start talking about what's going on with you. You can't wait to have you a good cry and tell them spirits what's going on. You're going to feel better. Okay? I'm telling you, do the shadow work. I've said that. Do the shadow work. Look at yourself. Strip down your ego. The one that is easing God out. The one that want power but don't want to work for it. Look at you. Look at what you doing. Because we be our own problem. The reason why we may make a progress because we ain't disciplined enough. We don't sit down long enough to do what we got to do. You have to master you. You is your biggest problem. I was my biggest problem. Can I inbox you to ask you a few things? I don't know. How is that gonna go? Because sometimes y'all getting people inboxing, that should be a reading. I have to be careful about that. And I'm not trying to be mean, beloved. That's not what I'm trying to do. I think a lot of us is sick and we really, really need help. We don't know that we're carrying this sort of energy that is messing with our energy that can be draining to other people, and we don't do it on purpose. We just really really need help. We haven't been seen, we haven't been heard, and we just want to you know grabs this person attention, and really you're really taking their energy away from them. So it's not a fair energy exchange there. So I've had people get in my box and ask me things, and that's not a ask. That's basically a reading. Because you need a read. I can't answer these questions without a reading. So really, I can answer some questions, but depending on that, no reading. Just ask a few questions. Okay, I'll see if I can answer them. Can you ask them here? Can you not ask them here on the live stream? I'm here. I can answer them here. Crochet embroidery. Embroidery. Okay. How do you get a reading? Just DM me. Just DM me. And I'll get you out an invoice. When that's completed, we'll schedule the reading and get it done. Okay. Make sure you're intentional. You bring your questions with you. Keep your questions in your mind because they'll be answered in the reading. Okay. How do I stay disciplined? It's been 5 years. I think I just answered that question. Did you write that question in there again? How do I stay disciplined? It's been 5 years and I'm struggling. Well, you probably need to go to therapy. If you can't do the shadow work, and I don't recommend anyone do shadow work by yourself if you know you in a deep denial, because shadow work has a lot of denial in there that leaves you blind. People call them blind spots, but in layman terms, physical terms, it is denial. It is the ego refuse to look at their flaws. They're so used to looking at what's wrong with everybody else, but it doesn't want to admit that it's not perfect. Sometimes we'll create a whole personality. It happened to me too. Ain't your fault. Okay, we create a whole persona so we don't have to deal with ourselves and look at ourselves. Okay, that's what happens. Ain't your fault, but it is your responsibility to do the work if you know you're still struggling and you know that you're not disciplined with certain areas. And again, that's going to depend on your zodiac sign, especially if you're a fixed sign or something like that. The fixed sign, the Aquarius, the Taurus, what is it? I'm not sure if this is the Capricorn. I know it's the Leo. The Leo is a fixed sign too. Stop trying to make these big old plans and then you don't make baby steps to get there, and then when you don't do it, you're mad at yourself, you're upset at yourself. Fixed signs, you have to approach things a lot differently. I don't know your zodiac sign, I'm just guessing here, but you have to take baby steps and stop thinking that you can make these big old major shifts when you make bigger changes when you take smaller steps. Okay, I don't know if you're a fixed sign, I'm just guessing here, but all that has something to do with it. Okay. Okay, then making big steps. You know how you treat yourself, how you talking to yourself. Do you give yourself a break? Do you give yourself compassion, mercy, and grace? I definitely had to get a therapist to help with my shadow work. It did wonders. So you can't do it because you have to do it alone. Your mind is sick. Your mind is sick. How you going to shift perspective and start looking at yourself and put out the light in yourself and dispel these beliefs? You need someone in there helping you shift your mind, your perspective. Your mind is sick. That's what's going on. You getting all that sickness and stuff out your mind, all these old beliefs, all that other stuff, all that crap. How you gonna do it? You can't do it by yourself. That's like when a person have a nervous breakdown. They don't know they have a nervous breakdown. Somebody outside them telling you crazy. You need to go to the doctor. To them, they normal. Ain't nothing wrong with them. And that's how it's gonna be until you start shifting and you start doing some retrospection. When you start looking back in hindsight, you can be like, damn, I was sick. Damn, I can't believe I was just walking around like that and didn't even know I was sick. Damn. Wow. That's how it worked. I look at myself now in my 20s, not on the hill. I look back and I said, boy, I was so damn ragged. I was raggedy. I was sick in my mind. I was terrible. God, I do not want to go back there. I don't want to do that. But back then, when I was in my 20s, you couldn't tell me nothing. I got all the damn sense in the world. You can't tell me nothing. But I had all types of trauma piled on top of me. I was acting out because of the trauma piled on top of me. Okay, I don't know. It's a lot. My whole family is from the islands, and my mom is scared of the pirates. That see that whole thing that you're saying there. I think this is the one. Is that her? Because I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to jump the gun, but I think this is her. Yep, that's her. See, you need a reading for what you got going on. That's gonna take some work. And you think you need to get in my inbox to that, like you said it with your own self. I don't know. It's a lot because you was gonna get in my inbox with that, but I'm glad you're putting it right here, beloved. What you're saying here, that's gonna require work and a reading. There's nothing I can fix. I can't see anything like that. But by that description, what you're putting in there, that's gonna be a reading, and I'm probably gonna give you some work to do. Okay. That's what I recommend for you because I've seen people. I had another young lady. She was for Honduras. That little lady stayed in my shop, and she had somebody working on her, and I had to give her some things to get her stuff together. I mean, she would got anything I had there to get rid of something. She was buying it. She was buying anything that got rid of anything, because she said her family member was doing some things to her in Honduras. That's what she believed in her mind. So every product that I had that I could give her, and any ritual, I gave it to her. Then I had another man, somebody had put something on him. I don't know what is it with these family members. Well, I can't talk because I got my grandfather. He's a Freemason. He sold out the whole damn family. So maybe I need to just hush my mouth, cause they doing it. Okay, you got family members doing it, and I got my own work to do with that, and work and try to keep that stuff off of me. Because my grandfather took an oath, and I'm seeing everybody in the family die. All his kids dying before him, and he looked like he's been rejuvenated while each person passed, and that man is damn near 100 years old. That's what Freemasons they be doing it. Okay, all right. So if you have any questions, if you're can I get an example of your birth chart and hoodoo in terms of what shadow work and ancestors work want you to work on? Okay, Pata, amen. You'll see sometime in your chart, it'll tell you, depending on what's in your notes, it'll tell you whether you need to do some work on your mother line. It's messed up, you need to focus on doing that, or you need to work on your paternal line. Okay, or it'll tell you these ancestors, the mother line or the paternal line, these ancestors are supporting you the most. Okay. And again, it takes me looking at your placements in your chart and seeing what's in there. And it'll let you know what ancestors, what type of ancestors you should be working with or need to. And when it's referring you to that, it's usually regarding a healing or a trauma or wound in that lineage. Um, it'll tell you what herbs you need to be working with. It'll recommend rituals for you during certain times of the month. And again, these are just recommendations. You can take them and again ask your ancestors and tweak them to things that is more comfortable for you. But that is the way that is really set up for you. Okay. Lots of information comes out in this chart. And I find it to be a lot of people say, oh, that's just hocus pocus. But I find it to be 80 to 90% right. I'm not going to say it's 100% right, but there's a lot of truth in that astrology that you come here. Okay. Okay. So you'll find it beneficial, and I like it because it takes out the confusion of what you should be doing. And it takes out the confusion of what type of spiritual gifts that you come here with and what elements that you should be working with, whether it's water, air, fire, or earth. It takes the guessing out of that and kind of gives you an indication of the magic you should be working with, what type of shadow work you should be focused on. It just makes it a lot easier. You can just start from there. Okay. Anybody else got any questions for me? I hope that I can come back here again in the future. I know we're going to be talking about Sabbators, egregores, as that came up. We're going to be talking about that next month. But hopefully, I'm looking forward to this gentleman that specialized in African spiritual systems. I'm looking forward to him reaching out to me to schedule a time where we can do a live stream and talk about Obia, because a subscriber by the name of Nathan, he set this all up. And you know what, Nathan? I hope you're in here, because Nathan, guess what? I might pull you up here because you're setting all this up. And he's been so interested in Obia. And so I really feel like that Nathan should be a part of this live stream too, because he has been in my inbox. He has set this up. He has pushed me to talk about more about Obia. And I didn't feel like I knew that much, but then I start opening my mouth. I realized the ancestors have told me a lot of things about Obia that people really didn't know when I start opening my mouth. And I'm just under the impression, excuse me, I just have that impression. I have to stop that. I just assume that everyone knows this. But I need to stop doing that and start, opening my mouth sometimes when you ask me. But yeah, I'd be surprised at what I know. So Nathan has set this up. He's so interested in Obia. And I just feel like for him to set this up, for me to talk to this guy, he must feel like that we have a lot to share if we were to come together. So this is for him. Really, because he set this up because I didn't want this. He the one emailed the man to me and me to the man and so this is probably going to be an interesting discussion. I hope he reaches back out and you probably don't want to miss this. What makes it easier? I missed that part. What makes it what easier, beloved? What her name? Nandy 1000. What part you missed? You can come watch all of this on YouTube. Okay, if you missed this live stream on TikTok, join my YouTube family over there. All of this is recorded over there. Okay, if you miss it. You were talking about the chart. Oh, it just makes it easier to go into your practice because you get some people and they get over here that's like I don't even know where to start. I don't know where I should do. I don't know what's going on. Well, when you get your astro chart, it's going to have all that in it. It's going to have the shadow work you need to be working on. It's going to have the elements you need to be working with, the spiritual allies that you may have walking with you. It just takes all the guessing work out of it because you get to look at your natal chart, your astrology chart, and see all the soul work, all the spiritual gifts and talents and things that you come here with, and all the soul work that you're here to do. I hope that made sense. So it takes the guessing out of it. Okay, you were talking the same day. Sorry, y'all. The same name on here, chemistry. Same name here on TikTok. The same name over there on YouTube. Nothing different. Okay. So it really helps a lot, and it has resonated with a lot of people. People have used that, and they have, seen progress. My thing is to get you started on it. I can't have you sitting on the sidelines looking around. I need you active, doing ancestor veneration, because you ain't gonna learn nothing if you ain't putting it into action. Got to put it into action. Can't have you scared and none of that stuff. If you're scared, start with libations. But at some point, if you start picking up hoodoo, it's a good idea to have an ancestor altar if you're going to be doing hoodoo. But some people say, oh, I don't want to start off that strong. Start off with libations and start developing a relationship. What is shadow work? Shadow work is ancestors work. It is healing work. It is healing the inner child. It is healing all that trauma you had piled on top of you when somebody did something to you, but you just stuffed it right there and you got to be strong and keep going. It's that. Okay? It's emotional irregulation. It is dealing with the inner child and the wounded self. It is going back, looking at how you got those wounds and looking at your family tree because shadow work always gonna take you back. I don't care what shadow work book you pick up, it's gonna take you back to your family. I don't know a shadow work book that you don't pick up and it don't start talking about your childhood and all this kind of stuff. It's gonna go to that, and they call it the shadow work. That's what the new age is calling it. But our ancestors call it ancestors work. I hope that answered your question and it made sense to you. Now the new age is coined this for something else. I don't recommend shadow work be done by yourself because your mind be sick. You need someone there helping you shift your perspective and helping that medicine, helping you get the medicine with it. Okay? That's what you need. I see people do that by themselves. I'm doing shadow work by myself. I side eye them every time because I know you shucking and jiving and playing. Because it's some things you need to be tested. You be having a testimony, a test. That's how the release happens when you are there saying that with a other person, things that you wouldn't tell another person. Again, you can be telling that person because a lot of those spirits they'll try to convince you, to be comfortable. No, you should be very uncomfortable with shadow work. You should be open and saying stuff that you are ashamed to say, so those spirits will release you because the main spirits of I've seen it with some of that shadow work is shame, embarrassment, low self-esteem, thinking that you ain't enough. And you get over there, I want you to be released from that. I want you talking because you don't need them spirits because they is a lie. Because once you start talking, them things gotta let you go. You're gonna be free. You're gonna feel free too. You're gonna feel light. And that's what I need. I don't need to get that heaviness up off you. So you don't know how to use your mouth. Some of us using our mouth raggedy because we don't know how to use our mouth. We're raggedy with our mouth. But when you start following your ancestors, you start learning how to use your mouth to heal yourself. And that's what's gonna happen over there. Okay? That's what I'm gonna show you because I'm gonna have you talking. Because you don't know you can heal yourself with your mouth. I'm gonna show you how you can do it. Okay, now that's why I need to do it. But they say don't do it alone. Okay, so it's therapy. So it's therapy a kind of shadow work? Yeah, you can tell that it's so many therapists since COVID that people was going in there doing shadow work. You got therapists that had to go look up shadow work because that's what they client want. A lot of them already familiar with it because during COVID, people was going into the therapist's office doing shadow work. You can tell them that. You can go in with your notebook and get them a copy of your notebook and tell them the questions that you want to answer and you want to heal through, and they'll go through that with you. You hiring them, you telling them what you need. You can even look around for a particular therapist that specialize in that. You can get that specific with it. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing something wrong, guys. You're welcome. Pata, amen. Okay. Declare and decree. That's right. I'm hurt. Okay. And see, you don't know how to use your mouth. Your mouth is a healer too, but you don't know how to use it. You're gonna know how to use it when you start talking about what's going on. You're gonna start feeling lighter and lighter, lighter and lighter, stronger and stronger. So when you do go to that altar, you're gonna get more and more intuitive and start trusting yourself. Your intuition gonna start coming in more clear when you start doing this. And then when you go to talk to your ancestors, you're gonna know you talking to your ancestors because you done clear some stuff out. You done came to yourself. You finding your true self, your true divinity when you do this. So when you go to your altar now, baby, you moving some stuff now. You ain't got no heaviness on you. You're standing in your divine sovereignty. You know damn well you deserve what you deserve, and you're gonna move what you can move because you done tapped into your power. That's how that works. I hope that make sense to you. And you got me over there constantly giving it back to you when you be trying to doubt yourself. I'm gonna constantly give your power back to you. I'm gonna constantly keep giving it back to you. Miss Penny, you know what to do. Stop asking me what to do. What's coming in your mind right now? Well, I think I should be doing it. That's what you should do. And it be the right thing to do. It's just you doubting yourself and you think somebody know more than you and they don't. Ancestors put ancestors don't make no junk. They know what they doing when they created you. Show them. I'm gonna remind you of that. Had somebody jumping in my chart the other day. Should I put cowrie shells on my altar? I think you should. You just said it. Ask your ancestors. She come back. She come back in the line and said, "Yeah, I should because Yimmy, I was in my astro chart." Oh, she already had the answer. You be knowing the answer, but you scared. You think you don't know the answer. The answer already in you. I need you to see that. Okay, I'm gonna keep throwing that in your face. You probably gonna get mad at me because you're gonna be like, "She don't tell me, sir. She don't tell me. She don't make me." I sure don't. I make you trust yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here for you to trust what's inside you is right. Stop doubting yourself. This is why you keep on running off to folks and looking at people and stuff. No, I don't. Get out of that. You were born divine. You were born with everything inside you. So let's cut it out. Especially when I gave you your chart, you see what's in there. You know, sense in it. Okay, get your ancestors going. Get that going. You get over there with me, you're gonna get everything you need. The only way you don't make any progress is because you refuse to do the work. Okay, just too many resources over there in our community for you not to make progress. You're gonna make progress. And I'm always there. I don't just leave people there and say, I got them. No, I'm what you need. I'm probably gonna get in your nerves. She always asking us what we need. She always trying to do a workshop with us. She always trying to get us in the meet. I damn sure am. I'm trying to help you as much as I can. I don't know many people doing that. You got some of these people they don't even want to look at y'all. They just want to take y'all money and give you a whole bunch of spells. I can't do that. The ancestors won't let me do it. Okay, I just can't do it that way. I don't function that way. I ain't gonna do it. Okay, okay. I just don't function that way. Now other people be comfortable with that. I know that ain't right. It don't feel right in my spirit. The ancestors ain't gonna let me right doing stuff like that. Some people can do regular stuff like that, but I just can't do it. I don't know. I just can't do it. Okay. And that's what I need. I know I'm holding myself back. You just got on me like my sister that passed. I'm sorry, Miss Mella. But it's already in you. I'm not gonna let you do it. And I have people over there down. Well, Miss Penny, did I make that stuff up? I have to look them dead in their face. I said, do you think you're smart enough to make something like that up? Could you have made something like that up? No. I said, well, why are you doing that? You're not making it up. There's no way you could have made nothing else, so it had to come from a spirit. So what are you doing over here? Let's stop backpedaling. This is what it is. This is actually happening, Captain. This is actually happening. And move accordingly. And you're gonna get the results. That's how I talk to you. I don't know. I'm just not gonna let you do it. Okay. Now, anybody else got any questions for me? I didn't stood on my soapbox, and you know something about Galactic Ancestor now. You know, I've brought things to your attention, so you know. Okay. And I'll come back here tomorrow, and we'll talk about affinity ancestors in more depth, especially when it comes to hoodoo and the variety of options we have when it comes to working with different ancestors. Okay. You just gotta trust yourself. These people that got us believing that the God in the sky. God, Lord, I get mad every time I think about it. Woo! These folks that convince you that the preacher know more than you, and the God in the sky ain't interested in passing no information to you. Got you thinking you got too much sin in you to even have a relationship with God. You got to talk to your preacher because God don't talk to you when God is in everything and everybody. That's how you hear it. That's how you walking and talking. And see, I got to strip that out of you. We got to reprogram and get our mind back together. Got to get your mind, your sovereignty, your divinity back so you can start standing in your power, giving you a good foundation. Got to remember now, they indoctrinated us in some bull crap, and we believe that stuff is gonna take a minute to get out of you. Okay, okay. It's gonna take you a minute, so be patient with yourself. That's why people tell them, you can learn hoodoo in a workshop. No, you can't. This is a lifestyle. This is a way of life. It may take you a year to get hoodoo fully integrated in your life. It might take that long. It might take you a minute to start absorbing the information. I don't expect for you to be proficient in this in 3 or 4 months. Okay, it's going to take you a while to get consistent in your rituals, um, and producing or cultivating a lifestyle that is conducive to your spiritual lifestyle. It's going to take you a minute to start putting things in order. Okay, and getting used to self-care. Self-care is spiritual. You have to keep yourself full and knowing how to regulate your emotions, knowing how to control your thoughts and not let your thoughts consume you and you control the thought. So it takes a lot. I know it's going to take a minute, and it's not easy. I know when I say, oh God, this shit is hard. It's hard, 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 hard. You know, but it got better once I started learning how to regulate my emotions and start slowing my mind down. And I can't tell you enough. You need to slow down. Slowing down is actually going fast. You're gaining so much more going slow than going fast. Slowing down is fast. Then you're going to have to start doing a lot of nothing. You're going to have to learn that resting is working. See, they got you thinking resting was when you being lazy. No, resting is a part of the work. Some of us, we don't know how to rest. We so anxious. We think we always got to be doing something. We don't know how to rest. You have to learn how to rest too. Learn self-care, learn self-love, because some of us don't have that to us to ourselves. That's why we keep running after people and stuff. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna let y'all go. I know it's getting late over there, but if you have any questions, you are interested in our service, DM me. Um, you want to ask your reading? I need your time, your date, your place of birth, and your email address. And I've already put my email address in there if you guys are interested. Okay. Love you. Be ready tomorrow because we'll be talking about affinity ancestors. You're going to learn more about ancestors. So you can't be going around here saying you don't know, especially when you're in this live. I told you, and you're gaining more knowledge. Okay. You're welcome. Love you guys. You guys take care. Okay, YouTube family, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. We're gonna talk about affinity ancestors. If that's something that y'all interested in, I'm gonna be here. I talked about it a little bit on the channel, but it's just gonna go in detail. Okay. And then I think last we'll talk about is familiar, remembered ancestors, and we'll talk about that probably lastly. Okay.